opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is here. Danny Mack is here. I'm Randy Carricker. Great to be back after being at the Mizzou Tiger Club of St. Louis golf tournament yesterday, and it's good to see you kids. How is everybody doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. How was yesterday?
It was great. Always good to see Eli Drinkwitz and the crew from Missouri, and they have extraordinarily high expectations. It's going to be hopefully a fun year. I was talking to the group I was playing with yesterday about how I would have never dreamed that we would go into a Mizzou season and think, okay, well, if they lose 3 games, we'll be disappointed.
Well, I would be now.
Yeah, I would too.
Was Eli talking yesterday? Did he address the crowd?
Yeah, he did.
Or was it like a Q&A, or what did he do?
No, it was he just addressed the crowd, and his standard fare now is putting pressure on them. He said, hey, we're going to try to do our part. We're going to recruit. We're going to do everything we can. But you have to do your part, too, and that includes selling out games, and that includes contributing to name, image, likeness, because it ain't getting any cheaper.
I would say if they're not part of the college football playoff, it's a disappointment.
I would say so, too. Yeah.
That's how high the expectations are, I think, with this season coming up.
Essentially, even though Cody Schrader is gone, they're bringing back their entire offense. They brought in 2 transfer portal running backs to play. They've got their entire receiver room back. Quarterback, offensive line should be better than it was last year. Defensively, they lose some keys, but again, the transfer portal helps them out. And so they should be pretty darn good.
And that wide receiver room is ridiculous. So that's a big
redonkulous.
Oh, redonkulous. There you go. What was the feeling? Was it different than last year from the event?
Yes, it was.
Just the feeling from the fans and, of course, from the coaching staff.
Was it all football or everybody there?
There were other sports there. It was for the entire Tiger Scholarship Fund.
Yeah.
But it was dominated by football, as it will be. Laird Veach was there, and Laird Veach is a football guy. He gets it. And that's basically what what sports on college campuses is right now, is football, right? It
drives the bus.
It totally drives the bus. And it's really not college football anymore. It's sports. I don't know, we got to come up with a name for it. But it's sports. It's a sport that happens to occur on a college football, on a college campus.
How about just call it a feeder league?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh, some of the money stories are amazing running around.
Turn on your mic. Let me hear what you got.
To occur on a college campus is the best thing. That's the name. That's the that sounds like an SNL skit. Like we're back here on NBC for our premium coverage of a sport that happens to be played on a college campus, and it's Kenan Thompson and hosting at a desk with 3 other guys. Like that's an SNL skit.
It is. But that's where they are. That's where we are as a society. And I was talking to Eli about the meetings last week down in Florida for the SEC, and he said we got nothing done because that's when the House case was settled by the NCAA, and they have no idea. No schools and the SEC have no idea what to do with this.
I wonder what he's going to be like at SEC Media Day if he tones it down a little bit. Like, before he knew they weren't as good and he had all the quips, you know what I mean, to kind of get some of the attention. And I wonder this year, because the expectations are so high and he knows he's loaded with a great team, if he kind of tones it down a little bit and lets the team do the talking.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like he toned it down a little bit
and that's
going
what I mean.
into last season. And so now this year, though, he has everything to back it up. So I don't mind some of the comments a little bit. I don't mind some of them. But now, especially when you're doing as well as he is, I mean, he's the type of coach that the fact that he would even be one of the names that is brought up when Nick Saban left, I don't even know if he was in consideration. Of course, there's just rumors. But the fact that in 1 year he was able to at least be one of the names, like, we need to look at this guy because of what he's doing with the transfer portal, NIL, the way he's able to utilize all of it. I mean, he's going to become more of a national figure, especially if they do what we're expecting them to do this season.
Just get in the playoff after getting to the bowl game yesterday, being a top 10 team, or last year, being a top 10 team and beating Ohio State. It was a diminished Ohio State, but beating them in the Cotton Bowl. Yeah, Missouri is a national brand now. It's pretty cool.
Randy, were you out practicing your golf game on Sunday? This is a question from the 636. A guy in the group behind me could have been your twin.
Really?
Yeah.
I was out practicing, but it was in the evening, and there was nobody else on the course.
Huh.
That you know
That
of.
I know of.
Yeah,
That
maybe
you
somebody's
know
following
of.
you, Randy.
I was the last person on, and I was behind a sevensome at Creve Coeur. Yeah, they kind of
sevensome?
A sevensome. Yeah.
How does that happen?
I have no idea, but it did.
You get some practice chops in.
Yeah, I did. So yeah, well, it set me up yesterday for being delayed during the tournament. I was able to play without any rhythm. Hey, the Cardinals lost last night 7-4. Hope you didn't go to bed before the 8th inning. Yeah.
No, what happened?
Yeah, it was.
Nolan Gorman powered the Cardinals to a big win.
He was almost there, Matthew, but then JoJo Romero happened. And poor JoJo Romero has been so good.
Exactly.
For the Cardinals. But
It has been. Yeah.
Yeah, last night was kind of
sleep.
Kind of rough. And by the way, kudos to Jim Edmonds, because he called it. He said, I don't like this matchup right off the bat. Bregman, with the Cardinals leading 4-3, Bregman against JoJo Romero. He said all he has to do is just get his bat over the plate, and he can shoot one into the Crawford boxes. And he did a little more than the Crawford boxes. But Bregman hits a game-tying home run, and then the Cardinals wind up losing.
Jimmy had such great power the other way, too. Mm-hmm. He used that to his advantage. He would do that in the American League with the Green Monster. He would just let the ball get deeper, hit it for power the other way, and he certainly did that in Houston. I mean, he loved hitting in Houston. I don't know what the numbers are. I just remember that he would try to go the other way and use that to his advantage. And Bregman, it seemed like the easiest swing. Yeah. Just an easy swing, bat to ball, and that was it. And I felt bad for Romero. I mean, he's out there for 30, 31 pitches, 32. He had to take it because other guys were down. And it sets up then tonight where you need Palante to give you some innings because your big three, at least two of the big three, are probably down. Maybe not Kittredge, but certainly Romero. I'd say Romero's done for the series until you get back home. And even then, in game one, you might want to make sure that you stay away from him and just let him reset because he's been used a ton.
He really has. And the thing is, in that situation, I know a lot of people are talking about, was it the right decision to leave JoJo Romero in? How do you guys feel about that? Because after the game, Ollie Marmol explained that it really came down to experience, and also you had Fernandez, who was not an option, so you really didn't have many other arms available. Was that the right decision to leave Romero in?
So you going with Kyle Leahy, or are you going with Ryan Lutos?
I'm going with JoJo Romero.
That's where I'm going too.
Yeah, I think at that point he gave you the best opportunity to succeed, and it just didn't work out. Sometimes those things happen in baseball these days when we don't have rubber-armed pitchers anymore. We have guys that go max effort, and we don't have guys available for 3 out of 4 days. So he was the guy for that situation, and it just fell apart for him.
And I think, generally speaking, Ollie's been really good with the bullpen.
Yeah,
I mean, that's been one of his bright spots this year is how he's managed the bullpen, which is, to me, outside of building relationships with players to where they trust you, because of spots like last night, and it's vice versa. They trust you, you trust them. Managing a bullpen and getting into a bullpen to make the right decision is really the hardest part for a manager. And like you said, Randy, sometimes it doesn't work. I thought he made the right move. It just didn't work.
It wasn't. I mean, yeah, it was the right move in that moment, because what else are you going to do in that situation? Okay, you bring in Kyle Leahy, and what would happen in that situation? If things get blown up, then people will be mad at Ollie Marmol about that too. Fernandez was just not an option, and it's not ideal for Romero, but there was a lot of other things that just kind of fell apart in that game too. The errors that we're continuing to see with this team, that really extends the innings and puts the pitcher in a really tough position there. I mean, Dan, you've been talking about that for a while, but the errors just continue to increase. You had errors by Gorman and Mason Wynn last night, totaling to 21 in their last 18 games. That really puts a lot of stress on the pitchers.
Yeah, and it's extra outs, as you're mentioning, and you go deeper into innings. I also think the Cardinals' margin for error is slim, and last night it really didn't come back to haunt them. It just extended innings, but the margin for error, generally speaking, for them is pretty slim, so they got to clean that up when you talk about the defense of the last 3 weeks. It hasn't been where they needed it, but it's been overshadowed because of the run in which they went 12-3 in the 15 games and they hit, so that's something to keep in mind.
Don't you think that it also kind of exposed, especially with the bullpen, too, just kind of the lack of depth that they might have there and options, because what can Ollie Marmol do in that situation? That's a situation where you would hope that you would have, say, a Keenan Middleton, who, of course, has been dealing with injuries this season, or maybe even, I know we talked about how he has struggled, but Giovanni Gallegos, having those extra arms would be able to help that bullpen out a lot.
There were some that believe that they kept Gibson in too long, and I think the reason that, and he was on fumes, and I think there was two things that happened there. One, his game to win or lose. Yep. He's given you that shot, and he's been that guy all year. And the other is your bullpen was on fumes, so you needed to squeeze out potentially one more out, two more outs, and you went maybe too long with him, but that's the situation they were in last night.
And that's where the errors haunt you. When a pitcher is on fumes and shouldn't be, but has to throw 6, 7, 8, 10 more pitches because of an error.
Looking ahead to tonight, Mason Wynn didn't look right at the end of that game. Something was bothering him, whether it was a wrist or he was kind of stretching and doing different things that just didn't look as good as he's looked. It just didn't look right. I thought his last at bat he was overmatched, and I haven't thought that all season long. It did not look right. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens tonight if he's in the lineup.
Yeah, and Nolan Gorman, by the way, that is the offense right now. 2 for 3, 2 home runs, 2 RBIs. Gorman, since May 10th, 19 games, has hit .339, .431 on base, .823 slug for a 1.253 OPS. He has 3 doubles in that time, 9 homers, 21 hits, and 12 extra base hits, plus 18 RBIs. So Gorman has come into his own in the last month.
He really has, and it's exciting to see. I know that some people will, of course, bring up the strikeouts that he has, but that's what kind of comes with that type of hitter. He's the left-handed power bat that we're looking for, and I think that he's going to be streaky. Now, was it a little streaky for a little too long to begin with? Yes, that's tough, but at the same time, what he's able to do now, I think, is why a lot of people said, there's no way I'm trading that guy.
Everybody's looking for left-handed power, too. And you're going to live with the strikeouts. You're going to live with the streakiness. And then he's going to have a stretch of 2 or 3 games that he wins you a series. And then it might be 2 or 3 weeks where he wins you half the games because of what he does with the power. I still think the offense is predicated on the 2 big guys. You can sprinkle in the young guys, and they're going to have their runs. But, man, the consistency of Arenado and Goldie has to be there. And when it's not, it stands out. And when they go quiet, it's tougher for them to win. Yeah. That's an obvious statement, but it's very true.
And one of the nice things the Cardinals have, and we're going to talk about Brendan Donovan coming up, but when Donovan is healthy and playing, and Burleson is hitting like he is, and you're going to bring along a guy like Chase Davis, they're actually, for those months where Nolan Gorman is really struggling, they're going to be able to back him up with some left-handed pop.
Yeah, and left-handed pop, if you go back into postseason play and look at last year, if you do not have left-handed power hitting, teams didn't win. You have to have left-handed power hitting. I'm going to sprinkle in a right-hander, too. When they get Jordan Walker back, in some form or fashion, whatever that may look like, and I know he picked up a home run, but missing him this year has been huge. You know, he had that really good run in the second half of last year, and for whatever reason, it hasn't worked out. He's not hitting for the power that you expected. But, man, will you really miss him in the middle of this lineup when you had your expectations put on that? And I also will say this. Their outfield is banged up. Nootbaar out, Tommy Edman out, the lack of progress from Jordan Walker. These are all things that you thought would contribute to this season, and that has not happened.
Yeah.
It'll be good to see Jordan Walker on Thursday.
You still going with that?
Yeah, I think I'm coming back to that, yeah.
Is it 1 home run? Was that enough? And that's all you needed to see?
1 home run and 1 bobblehead night.
Oh, Randy.
What's the over-under since, baseball does have betting? As we're seeing that prominently even with players.
I see what you did there, Dan.
Good question. So over-under 4, what?
Percentage-wise that Jordan Walker is going to be here?
Okay, so out of 10, I'm going to say 6.5 that he's here, and I'm going to bet the over.
Really?
Yeah. And I know it's high. Yeah, but
I'm going to go under on that.
Somebody did point out that it's not like the full giveaway. It's like the special theme ticket giveaway.
So it's Jordan Skywalker.
So does
Star Wars night.
Does that change potentially?
The fact that people spend extra money?
Yeah. Does that maybe? But it's a low. But it's also a lower amount that you're impacting. It's a smaller quantity that you're giving out than some of the usual giveaways. So does that mean they're not as worried about it being an odd thing that he's not there for it?
Here's the
I like the
question.
conspiracy theories either way.
I like
636 says, when do we expect Jordan Walker back? I think it comes down to showing consistent power. If he shows more of a home run track with his swing and more gap to gap with power and elevates, which is what they want, then you'll see him back because he's getting velocity off the bat. If you look at his exit velocity, it's actually pretty good. But if it's on the ground, that's not what they want, and they feel that that doesn't translate to Major League Baseball.
No. And at this point, too, we just continue to see the outfield carousel. It seems like every single season. And there's a lot of stuff you can't plan there, but at a certain point, what is going on with the outfield and just the continuous changes that we're seeing there?
It's like the last decade.
It really is. Yeah.
They have not had very consistent outfields in terms of personnel for a long time.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
It
amazing.
is.
They just can't. And I guess we tend to hyper focus on the Cardinals. I think everybody's like that, but man, it's been a long time since we've had like a regular Holiday, John Jay, whomever in right field. You know, it's
Berkman,
yeah,
Beltran, had them for a stretch of a couple years.
Yeah. So the Cardinals back in action against Houston tonight. Brendan Donovan is the Cardinals' secret weapon, and we've got numbers to prove it next on 101 ESPN. Hey, there's little opportunity for youth with disabilities in our region to play baseball and other sports because of a lack of adaptive facilities. But that is changing now with the Gateway Region YMCA. They have partnered with Cardinals Care and the Boniface Foundation on construction of a state-of-the-art adaptive sports complex that's going to include a Miracle League baseball field, inclusive playground, and a multi-purpose field, too. So kids and adults with disabilities can play sports. And working with the Cardinals, the Y is very excited to name the field Paul Goldschmidt Field. As part of the work as a nonprofit, the Y provides comprehensive adaptive support services to more than 1,000 individuals annually, and this new facility is going to be a game changer. It enables the Y to expand programming specifically for sports for individuals with disabilities. But the Y still needs your help. It's not too late to become a founding donor and leave a lasting legacy. The Y has launched its community fundraising phase, and while every gift counts, there's some really cool recognition opportunities starting at $500 for you or your company. Please consider making sports available for all so that children with disabilities can play ball and experience the joys of being on a team. Visit GWRYMCA.org. That's Gateway Region, GWRYMCA.org. offense appears to be much better with Brendan Donovan in the lineup. Even though Donovan, and this is interesting, this year in games Donovan starts, the Cardinals are 26-26. In his career in games Donovan starts, the Cardinals are 120 and 121. So they're essentially a 500 team in games that Brendan Donovan starts this year and for his career. But offensively, when he has 3+ at-bats or starts, the Cardinals are hitting .239 with a .315 on base, a .687 OPS. When he's not in the lineup, the Cardinals fall to a .175 team batting average with a .217 on base and just a .535 OPS. So they are substantially better than 100 points higher OPS-wise with Donovan in the lineup. So clearly he is making an impact when he's in the lineup.
Yeah, I think we all really could tell that. Even if you didn't know the numbers, I think everybody could tell that there's a clear difference when Brendan Donovan isn't in the lineup versus when he is. Even last year, remember when he was dealing with injury, the team total offensively really started to drop down. You noticed that there was a huge gap missing there, person missing there with Brendan Donovan out. And so he just makes a huge impact. And also, John Denton of MLB.com, he has a great story out right now where he talks about the impact that Brendan Donovan brings as a leader. We talked about that a lot going to the season, but I think that's another thing that is missing when he's not around.
I think it's also one of the oddities of the game. Sometimes you find those numbers when you dig in and just say, okay, certain guys, when they're in the lineup, you win. Now, it seems like the numbers would bear it towards, hey, when he's in the lineup, like you said, Randy, you're going to have success. But I look at the way he takes at-bats, and he is seeing a lot of pitches, which helps out the guys on deck, the guys in that dugout, and if they're paying attention, they're going to get an idea of how he approaches a left-handed batter as opposed to when he's not in the lineup and guys are swinging at the first pitch and making out and sometimes get a base hit. But being able to take pitches, hit with 2 strikes, and draw out an at-bat is beneficial for everybody.
And here's the most salient and biggest point. When I was a kid, this was said about Lou Brock. As Lou Brock goes, so go the Cardinals. That's going to happen with your leadoff hitter. When your leadoff hitter is hitting well and getting on base and giving your team an opportunity to score early on, it's going to provide a better offense for the team. It's just a natural byproduct of having a good leadoff hitter. If you look at Ricky Henderson. When Ricky Henderson played on teams, they generally were pretty good because he was the best leadoff hitter of all time. If you have a great leadoff hitter, it goes a long way towards you being a great team.
It really does. And especially when we talk about, too, some of the veteran guys, some of the other ones with Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, who we know have had their struggles this year. You need the other guys to really emerge to help this offense go. So I think Brendan Donovan is a big part of that.
I think it's a residual effect as well as his ability to play all over the field. So at times, maybe you can sit a lesser player and let him play in the outfield, let him play second base, let him play third base, but he stays in the lineup, and maybe lesser players aren't in the lineup, and that contributes to what you have going on here too.
The question before we went to the break was, is he the Cardinals' secret weapon? He is a much better version of Jose Oquendo because Jose Oquendo just didn't play offense. He was a very good defensive player, but he just couldn't hit, which is a problem normally when you're playing baseball. But Donovan, when he's on, and I don't think that he's been completely healthy. I know he hasn't been completely healthy for the last couple of years. He's a really good offensive player.
He really is. Do you think that with his career, I know that he will have hopefully a very long career, that he should remain a utility player? Because you mentioned, Dan, I think there is something there about him just being so versatile that it really just plays out into the rest of his game.
I don't know where he should play. I tend to think that he should play second base, but then I wonder what happens with Nolan Gorman. Mm-hmm. Is he your primary DH? Yes, he would be. But I think the Cardinals are a better team when Brendan Donovan is playing every day at second base. I really do. Now, he gives you flexibility, and that's a great thing, and he can play the outfield. He can play third, probably in a tough spot, could play short, could play first base. He could go all over the diamond, which you need those kind of players. But I think if you're looking at the best alignment of this team, he's got to be at second base.
If you look long-term.
And that's where I'm going, long-term with him.
Maybe it's first base.
Could be. I want power, though, out of that position. I think you sign power or try to find power if you can.
And maybe Jordan Walker. See, that's the thing, though. If you have Donovan in the lineup, if Walker moves into first, then you have somebody else in right. I'm kind of surprised that the Cardinals have never tried Nolan Gorman as a corner outfielder. I'd actually rather try your idea of having Donovan at second and try Gorman in left and see what he can do out there.
I don't know about that.
The other thing you do is play Gorman at first. Gorman has a good arm. He can play. He could be as good as Stephen Piscotty was.
In right? Stephen Piscotty was a very good defensive player.
That's what I'm saying. And
you think he'd be that good?
I think you play Gorman in left. Yeah, he has athletic ability and he can throw.
Yeah, I just his career has been based on the infield. I think it would take time. I think it would take time, but yeah, he didn't do it in the minor leagues. Piscotty did. So, he had some seasoning in the minor leagues. I think that would help. I don't know if he could. Probably if you gave him a run out there, if the ball doesn't find him that much, maybe he could.
Here's my point. If your defense on the infield is more important than the defense in the outfield. So you pick the best defensive second baseman you have between Donovan and Gorman. Donovan, right? And then if you have to have Gorman playing the field because you don't want to pigeonhole him as a DH, then you get him a spot in the corner outfield. And probably left. I mean, Manny Ramirez won World Series in left. Lou Brock won World Series in left. Lonnie Smith won World Series in left. You don't need to have a great defensive left fielder to win a World Series.
I like, if I had to pigeonhole him somewhere, though, I'm putting him his best position is DH. Gorman.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, with his history at third, you might try him at first, too, Gorman.
Yeah, and that would make some sense. I like your idea of Walker maybe coming into the infield, although I like Walker as an outfielder, too.
I do, too.
I think he's making the adjustments, and maybe that's the point that you're trying to make here, too, Randy, is that you can take an infielder, move him to the outfield. It may be ugly at times, but if he makes a routine plays and that's what keeps him in the lineup, then do it that way.
Yeah, just give your... Here's the thing. Give your manager the best opportunity to win, and the best opportunity is going to be strong defensively up the middle.
So what if Goldschmidt leaves? Where do you go? Because some of the minor leaguer guys aren't ready. Lucan Baker is not the future. He can put up numbers, but he's probably not the future. And that's in the number. The numbers are at the minor league level.
Because I think, and I don't know if Jordan Walker's getting any better in right field right now, but I think athletically, he is the guy that gives you the best opportunity in right field long term.
I agree.
So if Goldie isn't here, I would probably try Gorman there first.
I'd give him a chance.
Yeah,
I'd put a first baseman's glove on him and see what transpires.
We know Donovan can play there. Now, here's the other thing you have. You have Herrera emerging. Maybe Wilson Contreras winds up being your first baseman.
Very well could be. The other thing, too, though, with Gorman is he going to play against lefties? You know what I mean? So that's something to keep in mind, too. I'd give him the run of lefties, righties. I just keep him in the lineup the whole time.
Yeah, he becomes my poor man's Kyle Schwarber.
I think I like the idea of Gorman at third and then Jordan Walker at first. I can just see that happening. I can see that happening a million. Well, I mean, we have to think about the future
but
here, Randy.
What,
3 more years?
Right?
4 more, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's going to be here, I think.
He's not leaving.
Yeah, that's true. But you do still have to think, I think, to your point, Dan, think about Goldschmidt because as of right now, of course, he hasn't signed an extension. So who is the plan for first base in the future?
I don't think there's a plan yet.
Surely there's a plan.
There's a plan. It's just will it be executed?
Yeah.
What about Pete Alonso?
See, I'm fine with that.
That would intrigue me.
Yeah, I mean, he can put some people in the hospital when you need him to.
Oh, why do you have to throw that back into his face?
But here, when you talk about plans, okay, and this is the Cardinals, and they have a tendency to do this. There should have been a plan for Jordan Walker, shouldn't there have, to play the outfield? But they played him at third all of 2022. And as soon as Harrison Bader was traded, they moved him to the outfield. But they knew once they got Arenado that either Arenado or Gorman was going to be playing third. It wasn't going to be Jordan Walker. Yet they play him at third, and then they allow him to embarrass himself in the outfield because he'd never played there before.
I would think that at some point Walker is here. And then what happens to Burleson? And maybe he could be your first baseman of the future, too.
Yeah.
The guy can hit.
Yeah, there's another good call.
I got to keep him in the lineup somewhere, and that's where I would put Burleson, maybe at first base, and that's the future spot for him.
I'm fine with that, too. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, will Justin Jefferson finish out? The contract hasn't even been officially announced yet, and we're asking, will he finish out his new contract with the Vikings?
Randy. Can I say something on golf, too?
Yes.
It has nothing to do with this segment or the next.
Okay.
But our own Chris Nagel Diego qualified for the U.S. Open.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Yeah, good.
Went to the qualifier, and I think he had something like 9 birdies and 1 bogey and qualified for the U.S. Open. That's
Wow.
pretty incredible.
How many times is he Monday qualified now?
Oh, that's a good question. I think this might be his third. Yeah.
Every time he does it, I lock in. Like, I've watched more just like locking into his rounds
Me
on
too.
Monday qualifiers than I have like tournaments since Tiger retired.
That's pressure,
Well,
man.
Didn't he clobber TMA by himself?
No, he actually. They actually
they beat him?
combined. They got. I don't know how. Like to this day,
That's
they
well.
don't know how they beat him.
Okay.
And they all acknowledge that if they ever play him again, he will absolutely drill them into the ground. But they actually beat him. Because they hit like I think across the round, like across all 3 of them, because it was Doug Jackson, Action Jackson, and Tim McKernan. I think across the 3 of them, they hit like 4 30-foot putts.
Oh, that's pretty impressive.
Across the round, and you're not doing that again against.
So
a guy
they
like that.
scrambled against
Yes.
him? Oh, that's
and they
fun.
beat him, but again, they had to hit miracle putts.
I just had to throw that out there.
That's, I'm glad we have that info out there.
All right.
Next up, will Justin Jefferson finish his contract with the Vikings? We have a reason to believe no. Next on 101 ESPN. Hey, St. Louis, get your exclusive City SC debit card from Together Credit Union. Together Credit Union is the only place to find this official fan debit card, which comes with special perks like a free lifetime membership for My City SC Plus, in-stadium discounts on food, beverages, and merchandise, and, most exciting, express entry into City SC matches. And as a special bonus, Together Credit Union will also send you a commemorative print of City Park Stadium, the home of St. Louis City SC, while supplies last. How do you get the card? Open any personal checking account online at togethercu.org or stop by any Together Credit Union branch. There are 14 of them in the St. Louis area, and choose the St. Louis City SC debit card at account opening. There's no cost for the City SC debit card, and you shouldn't wait. Sign up today and show your pride for St. Louis City SC. It's the St. Louis City SC debit card from Together Credit Union. Membership eligibility required, federally insured by the NCUA.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals last night fall apart late and fall to the Astros 7-4 as they start their series in Houston tonight. Game 2, 7:10 first pitch, and it's going to be Andre Palante taking the start for the Cardinals. 1-1 on the season with a 3.94 ERA through 16 innings of work so far. He will face off against Spencer Arrighetti for the Astros. Arrighetti on the season 3-5 with a 5.95 ERA. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
So what kind of sauce do you like with Arrighetti, Matthew?
I'm always partial to a summer sauce.
Okay.
A little white sauce, a little red sauce.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, good. Arrighetti.
And again,
Pitching for Houston tonight.
I tried not to say it.
now
but
I get it.
It crept into my voice a little bit. I couldn't help it.
You gotta do it.
I tried not to put the sauce on it myself, but I can't say Arrighetti without putting a little oomph into it.
as he's using all the different hand signaling.
exactly.
This is on purpose, all right? This is natural.
By the way, when you guys were watching that game last night, did you sit there and say, like, how is Houston hovering around 500 with that lineup?
They're really
Yeah.
good. Although part of it is Bregman got off to such a horrible start, and their entire pitching staff has been hurt.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I'm looking at that lineup and going, these are some studs.
And Abreu spent time literally at their minor league camp.
He looked terrible in that at bat.
Still does, yeah.
Terrible.
So I wonder, though, because I think Altuve might be used up, too. I don't know how much they have left.
It didn't seem like a group that was on edge and playing with intensity.
No,
kind of waiting for turn the key and pick it up. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Randy.
Justin Jefferson signs a new massive contract with the Minnesota Vikings yesterday. And the question becomes, and this is a reasonable question, can you win in the NFL with a wide receiver taking up 13.7% of your salary cap? Only Tyreek Hill has a higher number since his signing at 14.4, and Justin Jefferson is a great receiver. Maybe the best in the league, although I would still take his former LSU teammate Jamar Chase over him. That aside, are the Vikings going to have enough cap space to be able to put together a roster with all of the money that they're paying Justin Jefferson? I think it's going to be very difficult. They lost their best pass rusher. They lost their quarterback. They're trying to rebuild. Yes, they do have a young quarterback, but is it the best young quarterback, the Michigan quarterback, J.J. McCarthy?
Well, Harbaugh thinks so.
Yeah, Harbaugh does. I just wonder if they're paying Justin Jefferson like he's their quarterback, and they're going to get 4 years, hopefully for them, of J.J. McCarthy.
So can't you get away with it then if he's on a rookie deal?
That's going to be the key. How good is he?
Yeah.
The thing is, to answer your question, I think that there is time, especially with J.J. McCarthy. But I know that another part of this question was, will he stay with the Vikings? Because that was the other part that you had in there going into this segment. And we got a text from the 573. As a Viking fan, I have no idea why you would think that Jefferson won't end his contract extension with the Vikings. They are a year away from entering their window and a premier rookie quarterback on his rookie deal. That lines up perfectly with J.J.'s contract.
What happened with Stephon Diggs?
Well, now he's over in Texas.
But when he was with the Vikings, it doesn't seem like they kept him around. It just, you're exactly right. That's that guy, different guy. Okay, he moves around or has moved around. But I don't think it's unreasonable to think that the Vikings would part ways with a highly priced receiver because they've done it before.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at some of the contracts that have been handed out. So Justin Jefferson gets 4 for $140. Jalen Waddle, 3 for $85 million. Nico Collins, 3 for $73. A.J. Brown, 3 for $96. St. Brown gets 4 for $120, and Devontae Smith, 3 for $75. So I think this is the trend maybe in Randy. It's more so, can you live with it? Probably, but because you have J.J. McCarthy on a rookie deal. But this seems to be the trend in the NFL to give these guys a good portion of your salaries.
And unless you find out that you have a transcendent quarterback like Mahomes or a Burrow, those kinds of guys, then you just play in 4-year windows. You open the window for 4 years for McCarthy. You hope he winds up being transcendent. You build as much around him. You keep people like Justin Jefferson healthy and happy for as long as you can, and then take your chances. And then after 4 years, you've got a 4-year deal for Jefferson. He moves on, and you give McCarthy the contract.
I think I'm really surprised by this trend, honestly. Are you guys? Because you pointed out just the different contracts we're seeing with wide receivers. And look, I'm not trying to take anything away from wide receivers. They're very valuable and important. But we also saw what happened with the running back market. Remember how that was high, and then it quickly, the value of it has dropped. I think that it's a trend league, but one trend that never dies is your quarterback being highly paid. I'm just surprised that we're in this position right now because there's a lot of talented wide receivers out there.
But I think with these guys, when you run down that list of names, Waddle has made Tua substantially better. Waddle, and there's no, I think that those guys, Waddle and Hill in Miami, they make Tua a lot better. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that would thrive with those two receivers. I think Jefferson is a guy that makes his quarterback a lot better. I don't think that Kirk Cousins, I like Kirk Cousins a lot, but I don't think he was nearly as good if he doesn't have a Jefferson. And I think Jefferson makes whether it's Sam Darnold this year or McCarthy better.
Tyreek Hill's deal looks like a steal.
Yeah, it does.
It's so my point is maybe in 3 years, this looks like a steal. That the market is going up so high that you in year 3 or year 4 of the deal, you say, well, that was pretty good because guys are now signing for 200. Guys are signing for 210, whatever the case may be. But it's the trend to go, as you're pointing out, Brooke, it's the trend to go with wide receivers, QBs, and those are the guys that are going to get paid. Yeah,
and there is a difference there. It's just very curious about what happened with the running back market and how much that has declined over the years and the value in that.
By the way, are you guys hardened or are you still stunned by the amount of money? Justin Jefferson gets a check for $88.743 million to play 17 games a year. And I'm happy for all the players, especially with what they go through. But $110 million guaranteed for Justin Jefferson. $110 million.
I always wondered with the signing bonus, if that just arrives in your bank on direct deposit. Here's $88 million. I'm dead serious. I don't know the answer to that. So your signing bonus is right there. Do you get the money? I mean, do you get the chunk of money? So they just direct deposit $88 million?
I believe that's the way it works. Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that would be insane to be able to get all that all at once. Real quick, just kind of going back to the wide receiver pay. DJ Patty Cakes, which sounds weird to say out loud, but that's what the YouTube name. Mahomes got to a Super Bowl without a top-tier paid wide receiver.
But he makes people elite wide receivers. He obviously Tyreek Hill is elite, but when you look at the group of receivers that he had, they weren't great, but he is one of the few that elevates those around him. That's why I'm saying that these receivers, Jamar Chase is one, although Burrow I think is elite, but Chase, Jefferson, Hill, Waddle, they make quarterbacks better.
Can I go back to the money thing?
Yeah.
It makes me think of in 2006, I was at a restaurant with a guy that, with the Cardinals, after they won the World Series, he made league minimum. And then they get the big payments for winning postseason play. He says, Danny Mac, check this out. And he puts his phone on speaker, and the bank would tell you what the direct deposit was. He's like, this is awesome. He said, listen to this. I got a check for $400,000. It's amazing how much money is out there in sports, but I've always wondered that. Like, you wake up the next day and there's $88 million in your bank account. That's incredible to me.
I would be so scared. I would probably call about every single day just to double check, or maybe every hour. How do you not panic just knowing that you have that much in your bank account? And then, two, what do you do with it after that? You can't just go and start spending like crazy.
Oh, there's plenty that will.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there will.
You have a lot of people to pay, though. Okay. Managers, agents, all that stuff.
By the way, now the Cowboys have to pay C.D. Lamb. Yep. He led the NFL in receptions last year with 135 for 1,749 yards. He was second in the league in yards. So Lamb has to get paid by Dallas, and this sets a new standard for the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's the precedent, and I'm sure that's why they waited to see the rest of the market set, which is how it's done in sports.
Yep. Speaking of the Cowboys, did somebody actually say on this very show, in this very
here we go.
On this very station,
I thought you were going to say something else.
That they hope the Cowboys would win a Super Bowl.
Did somebody say that?
Yeah, BK yesterday said he hopes Dak gets one with the Cowboys.
Oh, well, he kind of phrased it. He kind of phrased it in a different way.
No, he said he wanted Dak.
Did he say that?
He said he wanted Dak Prescott to win a Super Bowl.
But then the discussion was we don't think that it would happen with the Cowboys. I do believe.
He said he wanted the Cowboys quarterback right now to win a Super Bowl.
No, I missed that part.
Sounded a little bit pro-Cowboy to me.
If anybody on this station is saying they hope the Cowboys win a Super Bowl, I guess Jamie Rivers might say that. I throw up in my mouth a little bit just thinking about it.
You're a little upset about it, huh?
It's gross.
Well, you've been fired up by the Jerry Jones documentary coming up, too.
Oh, yeah, I'm fired up about that, Dan.
Uh-huh.
Well,
There's a documentary coming out? I didn't even see this.
Yeah, like a
really?
10-parter that he's producing.
Oh,
I don't know if it's going to include the hookers or not.
Well, yeah, if he's producing it, I don't think it will.
Yeah.
You have to give Jamie a pass because for all we know, like he did a bourbon tasting with Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman one time, and he's just like buddy with those guys. It's like okay, nice, okay,
yeah,
fun story there, Jamie.
1995 when they won Super Bowls.
There's sad news about Larry Allen, by the way.
Holy cow, 52 years old,
52.
Man.
He's passed away.
As dominant a guard as the league has ever seen.
He bench pressed one time 700 pounds, which is the record for the all-time record for bench press by the Dallas Cowboys. There was also, I was looking at social media, which I rarely do, but there was a video of him after Troy Aikman threw an interception of him chasing down a linebacker and making the play on a tackle. I mean, he was flying down there, and he's 330 pounds. He was just a specimen.
So he was 52 years old, passed away yesterday. He was on vacation with his family in Hawaii.
He was.
52 years old, and he was in his second year when the Cowboys last won a Super Bowl.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And it's going to be a long time coming.
They ain't winning this year.
No, they aren't.
Nope, I don't think so.
As long as their owner's alive. And he's going to be alive virtually forever, is he not?
Because he has his AI machine.
Yeah, right.
So he's always going to be around, making those decisions, taking those press conferences where every offseason he says, that they're determined, to actually do better.
Cowboys are all in. All in this year. We're all in. Yeah, thanks, Jara. Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314. Did you guys do Yoho yesterday?
I tried. Okay. So thankfully, yes, Rocchio did it with me. But
so BK wouldn't do it?
No. I tried to trap him. I
got it out of the way.
Thank you, Daniel.
No problem.
I was telling Matthew and Brooke, I said, just make sure that you keep the show fun. It's a morning show, so keep the show fun. I know it's hard, but thank you guys for doing that. 314 yesterday. 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO. Take it or leave it next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to share with you something that I wish I knew about a while ago, and that is Golden Oak Lending. Listen, I know that a lot of us have been there before, possibly racking up credit card debt or maybe even student loans. I know that I've been there before, but the people over at Golden Oak Lending, they are there to help you. While credit card payments have been at an all-time high and mortgage rates have gone through the roof, there is good news. Mortgage rates have started to come down. Golden Oak Lending has mortgage rates at 5.375% fixed, with customers saving on average $1,114 a month. Golden Oak just makes it so easy. I called in and I spoke with Jason, who made the call just super quick and professional. He educated us on our current loan on our house and what to look for in the future. Finance has never really been my thing, but Jason made sure to really educate and guide me to the best solution for my needs. And that's what they do there at Golden Oak Lending. Personalized service that makes you feel heard and really addresses your needs and stress surrounding finances. So call today at 314-567-GOLD now to get started started, or go to goldenoaklending.com and see the reviews for yourself. MLS number 5.934% APR, FHA, 15-year fixed, 20% equity, and qualified credit. Additional terms apply. MLS number 114937.
Take it or leave it.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Dan, Matthew, and Randy, it's the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and we welcome your texts. Guys, you had Anthony Becht on the show yesterday, challenging St. Louis to show up at the Dome on Saturday. Take it or leave it for the game against the Brahmas, the rematch on Sunday. Is it Sunday? Yeah. Or is it Saturday?
Saturday. It's 6, I believe.
Yeah. Take it or leave it for the rematch. St. Louis draws 45,000 plus. And don't forget that both SC and the Cardinals are in town.
I'm going to take it.
45,000 plus. Yeah, I'll take it.
All right.
So I think what was the attendance? 33?
35.
35 over the weekend. Get 10,000 more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think there'll be more build up to this game, more publicity for this game, and I think more people will probably wind up going.
Yep. And by the way, it's going to be announced today that Charles Glenn, one of our all-time favorites, the former blues anthem singer, will sing the anthem at the UFL Championship game here in St. Louis. So that'll be awesome.
Oh, that's exciting.
He always did a great job in the Dome for Rams games, and I know that he's got stuff coming up. He's got really important stuff coming up, and then he'll do the UFL Championship game too.
Yeah, very important stuff.
I think I messed up. Sunday, I think, is the game.
Okay.
That's what we're getting the text line saying Sunday.
Bulletin apparently official.
Yes, it is Sunday.
6. Mm-hmm. It's Sunday. Okay, Sunday at 6, head on down to the Dome.
I can see a lot of people going out there. Tickets, from what I could tell, I looked yesterday because tickets went on sale yesterday at 10, and they were going fast, according to what it told me on the Google
game,
machine.
By the way, the 6 o'clock game on Sunday is on Fox primetime. The early game is on ESPN, Panthers and Stallions. That's a 2 o'clock start. And one other note, the TV ratings, our guy, 50 Grand Pots and Pans, Marty Kilcoyne, sent me over the ratings. Ratings were good this past weekend.
So does it really matter how many people, and I mean, from the league's perspective, do you think it really matters how many people go to the games?
Yes.
Yes.
See, I think it comes down to TV ratings because that's where you're going to generate your money.
Ultimately, but I know that Moose Johnson went on record before as saying that the league was disappointed. They even wanted more people in the stands here. The league was disappointed overall with the number of people in the stands. It's a pretty bad look at most of the cities.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't translate well on TV.
Looks like the Bahamas Bowl.
Yeah. It's just you need TV ratings. If you have TV ratings, then you're going to generate the money.
Then you're going to generate money, yep.
Yeah, that's always the way that it goes. So CJ Stroud says that he would take, and by the way, he was on a podcast when he said this. It's not like he's just shouting it into the abyss. But CJ Stroud said that he would take Eli Manning's NFL career over Aaron Rodgers' NFL career. Take it or leave it, you agree with him.
Take it. 2 Super Bowls rather than one?
Exactly.
I'm going to leave it. What is Rodgers got 3 MVPs, right? 4 MVPs? Yeah, I don't think you can overlook the MVP.
But what the difference between individual and team, you don't celebrate and have a parade for MVP trophies.
I'm taking an MVP. We're talking about an individual career. He does have 1 championship and 4 MVPs. That's tough to beat.
If that's my quarterback in my city for my team, and he's saying he'd rather win 2 Super Bowls, I'll take the Super Bowls.
I'm taking the MVP.
It's a great debate.
And beating prime Tom Brady.
Yes.
And the undefeated Patriots.
No, they weren't undefeated. Yeah, they were, Dan. I have a patch in the office that says they were.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't have it on you right now.
Yeah, really.
Let's see. Attendance at non-Caitlin Clark WNBA games this past weekend. Here you go. 7,000, 4,000, 9,500, 7,000, 3,200. They did have one that was 10,000 and another one that was 7,000. Attendance at Caitlin Clark WNBA games this weekend, 17,000 and nearly 18,000. Take it or leave it, the league needs to step up to protect Caitlin Clark. If her teammates aren't, then the league needs to.
I'm going to leave it. Angel Reese is the reason that people are coming out to see women's basketball.
Oh, Randy.
Did you see the fine was like $1,000 for the bump? I mean, if you're going to sit there and really step in and they don't make a ton of money, make the fines substantial. If you do that and you hit the pocketbook, then people will stop doing that.
And I will take it. They do have. They just can't allow the egregious attacks like Kennedy Carter provided.
Stupid.
Yeah, Kennedy.
CH.
I know,
when I grew up, it was CH.
I know, but from everything that they're saying, it's Kennedy. But it is spelled Kennedy, to be fair.
Okay, I'll just go with the spelling then. I'm going to go phonetic here.
But, Dan, I will take it. I think at a certain point, I know that we're going to discuss this coming up even more with that sound with Angel Reese that you're referring to. Yes, we are.
See that. Okay.
And they said, what? That's coming up there, Dan. But
I've got a great
agree
question
with you.
for that I texted you guys yesterday. And you're going to have to put a lot of thought into it.
You didn't text me.
What is it?
Okay, here's the question. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups is trying to come up with a WNBA person to sell their product, right? Are they going to go with Angel Reese, who has the name, or are they going to go with Caitlin Clark?
I'd say Caitlin Clark.
I would say so, too.
Caitlin Clark.
I like the tie-in, though, to Reese.
I think so, too. It's spelled the same, too.
Why not get both?
Could do both.
You get Bird and Magic in Converse commercials.
After their careers. Well, no, you had that during their careers. Yeah, they just never met each other.
Didn't Magic go to French Lick to do that spot?
Yeah, right.
With Converse?
Yeah. All right, Matthew, what do you got on the text line?
And that's when they became friends.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. You would rather bite your tongue than stub your toe.
Okay,
That's the thing.
Hate them both.
I wanted to say take it really fast, but man, when you're just like talking and you bite your tongue, or you're eating and you bite your tongue, you like bite the inside of your.
Stop.
I immediately want to just like throw something through a wall.
I'd say bite your tongue is worse.
I think it is.
Well, because then it affects your eating and
speech.
Yeah,
it comes out of nowhere, and I feel so dumb. Like, I can't chew. I'm the biggest moron in the world.
And you actually do feel a little bit better. You stub your toe, you yell the F word, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So it's good. So I'm going to go with what biting your tongue is worse.
And you're bleeding if you bite your tongue sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm going to take that one too.
Has anybody ever, even the most devout people, has anybody ever run their toe into the leg of a couch or something and not yelled a curse word?
I think it's nearly impossible to do so. Ooh, I'll add another one. Okay, what about a paper cut?
Those are the worst.
Oh, that hurt me just hearing it.
Those three.
Oh, yeah.
Still doing tongue is the worst out of that?
Oh, yeah, tongue.
I've done it without cussing. Because I cussed and everything else, and my wife said, stop cussing. So for routine things, I would cuss around my kids. Not a good dad.
Oh.
But I try to take the high road when I stub my toe.
Oh, that's impressive.
Thank you.
Did you yell fudge or anything?
No. I just...
Oh, the grunt.
And then went back in another room and cussed.
Okay, that's good.
Take it or leave it. If McDavid wins the cup this year, he instantly has a much more cemented career than Crosby. It's not like the Oilers have had multiple first overall picks to build around McDavid like the Penguins did with Crosby. What number pick was Leon Draisaitl? Pretty third overall?
Yeah, and they had, again, I forgot our guy's name again. Yakupov. Yeah, they've had Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was top 2. He's had way more than Crosby did.
How about Sidney Crosby scoring the game-winning goal in the gold medal game and putting his country on his back?
And he's got 3, right? He's got 3 Stanley Cup championships. So, no, all due respect, because Connor McDavid is great, but I don't think that he is.
Not
Physically,
yet.
he's a better player. Physically, he's a better player than Crosby. But I think that Crosby's career resume is better.
I would agree with that.
They replied sarcasm, LOL.
Oh, okay.
Take it or leave it. You really like Drew Bannister, but you have to fire your head coach during the season to make the Stanley Cup. So
Take it. Yeah.
I'll take it. Is
I
that
think I
the
had-
winning formula?
In 4 of the last 6 Stanley Cup finals, there's been a coach that was hired during the middle of the season.
Yeah. Edmonton,
Yep.
case in point this year.
Right.
Fired after maybe, 3 weeks into the season when they were playing horribly?
Woodcroft, got whacked, and then Chris Knobloch got the job. So that's just another example.
it's kind of like yesterday. I don't understand why more Cardinals fans weren't excited yesterday. If you guys want to go to the World Series, then you have to be the 6th seed in the NL.
That's right.
Like, why are you guys not excited about being the 3rd wild card? This is how you do it.
Right. By the way, is it weird to you guys that in the NHL now that they're hiring teaching coaches and championship coaches? It seems to me that you should hire a coach to win a championship. But what they've gone, and I think Army's pretty much admitted this, that we're in that phase now where we're in the teaching coach, and then later on we hire the championship coach.
It seems to be the pattern.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
The NBA is kind of doing that.
Yeah, right.
Cleveland Cavaliers said, hey, thanks for getting us to like a 4 seed in the East, but you're not the guy, JB Bickerstaff, for that next level.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen it a couple times in the NBA. It's a good point.
I think it falls on deaf ears, too, the message. And then by the time that run is done, then you bring in the new guy, and they're ready to ascend to a playoff team. By the way, the setup here is I try to look at it's a tough setup here in the middle of this studio.
Okay, do you need a massage? You need some ice?
I do have
An icy patch?
a bad neck this morning. Take it or leave it. I need to change seats.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I'll go into the corner.
If you're watching on the Air Alliance team studio cam, you're seeing that Dan has to turn his head all the time.
I don't know who to. Sometimes I talk to Randy, then I look over at Brooke and I see Rocc right in front of me. I don't know if that's a good thing.
It's the shape. It's the shape of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was built for music. The thing was built for music. It's not built for us.
And there's high chairs. I don't like the big high chairs
I like
either.
the high chairs. I'm good with
You
I'm
dangle
fine
your
with
feet?
it. I always just choose this seat. This is a good chair to have.
All right.
BK was standing a lot yesterday,
Oh, yeah.
and then I was like, well, maybe I should stand a little bit. And then I was like, yeah, I did it for like one segment, and then I was like, I'm going to sit.
Dan, I'll just bring us in, and then we'll just you'll switch spots at the beginning of each segment.
I'm in.
All right.
I can't
Thank you,
see
Matthew.
anybody.
Thank you, Randy.
I'm sorry. I'm just complaining.
I understand completely.
I can't see anybody.
By the way, JR's piece this morning at The Athletic has a photo somebody caught of Craig Berube having coffee with Mitch Marner.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, so check that out. But speaking of The Athletic, Jim Bowden says the Cardinals consider themselves buyers at this point, but he's not buying that. That's next on 101 ESPN. Father's Day is right around the corner, and if you're looking for something easy yet incredibly special that truly shows Dad how much he means to you, then I have it for you with a gift certificate from Sound Story. And right now, you can get a 10% discount using the promo code ESPN through Father's Day. Sound Story is a professionally produced hour-long conversation in which your dad is interviewed by your choice of our professional interviewers, including ESPN personalities like myself or Tim McKernan or Anthony Stalter. Now you and your siblings can go in on a gift certificate for your dad and get him a Sound Story at mysoundstory.com. And now until Father's Day, enter that promo code ESPN and you'll get 10% off that Sound Story gift certificate. Preserve your dad's life story, his smile, his laugh. Save it for your family to enjoy for generations to come. Just go to mysoundstory.com and enter the promo code ESPN to get this Father's Day special of 10% off a gift certificate for Sound Story. That's promo code ESPN at mysoundstory.com. Sound Story, for you, for them, forever.
Fresh perspective on today's top stories. This is Fresh Take.
Presented by Lindenwood University. Real experience, real success.
In St. Louis, 808 now. Time check brought to you by Carlson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler at the... that was a bad roll. An officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Thank you. At the Athletic, Jim Bowden says the Cardinals, quote, consider themselves buyers at this point, which I'm not buying. In fact, I think they'll be sellers at the trade deadline, unquote. First of all, there's a reason that Jim Bowden is a former Major League general manager. And I don't think he pays real close attention to. I know he pays attention to the Cardinals' personnel, but he doesn't pay attention to their personality. The Cardinals' personality is not to sell. Last year was an outlier for the Cardinals. I don't think that the Cardinals, without a ton of pending free agents, and by the way, Lynn and Gibson both have options for next season. Helsley is under contract for next season. I don't think the Cardinals will be sellers at the deadline. I think he believes there has to be one or the other. I don't think so. I think the Cardinals could buy a little bit, but I would be stunned if the Cardinals would sell at the deadline.
Well, he did have them in the in-between category. So he did have like the for sure buyers and sellers that he's seeing right now at this point. He had the Cardinals in the more in-between portion of that. He also said if they are going to add something, it will be just like the offseason where they would acquire another veteran starting pitcher, which is something that we've been talking about. Clearly you need because you have Andre Palante going tonight. Hopefully he could do what he did last time, but this feels like more of just a temporary thing.
I think they're in between, as he said right now. But if you're hovering around that final wild card spot, why wouldn't you go out and acquire some type of help to get you down the stretch, to get you in? And just to stand pat, I don't see them doing that. I think if they're hovering around 500, and really the better way to say this is if they're hovering around a playoff spot, whether you like it or not, the wild card is there, then I think you have to add.
And the Cardinals have been pretty open about wanting to be a playoff team, not winning the World Series necessarily. They haven't mentioned that a lot, but they've talked about getting back to the playoffs, that that's important to them. And the one thing that I think you see it here because we're in town. Maybe you don't see it if you're wherever Jim Bowden is, but the Cardinals still cling to 2011 a lot. They're coming back from 10.5 back. They still think that anything is possible. They haven't given up that thought process. And that's why I would be really surprised, especially after cashing out last year, if they would do it back-to-back years.
Do you think that a lot of other teams think that way, though, too?
Yeah, with that second wild card, you have to. As Matthew mentioned, was it during the break or not? But you want to be the 6th seed.
Yeah.
Right? The 6th seed went to the World Series last year. The 6th seed went to the World Series 2 years ago. The 6th seed went to the World Series 3 years ago. If you're the 6th seed in the National League, you're probably going to wind up in the World Series.
So if you're the 6th seed, that means you've been playing more than likely playoff baseball anyway in the final 2 months of the season. And not to say that these top teams lose an edge, but there isn't this sense of urgency that other teams have. And going back to the point of just whether or not you add, it just has not been, outside of last year, for lack of a better term, their MO. To sit there and say, you know what, we're done, we're giving up, and we're going to sell off some of the assets that we have. If you have a chance to get in, why wouldn't you go for it? Why wouldn't you go for it? I don't think you give up the farm, but I think you do try to enhance your chances.
I want to add one other thing here, because there is a difference in personality and approach, and Dan, you've seen this for a quarter century. There's a difference in personality and approach, you might not realize it, between Bill DeWitt Jr. and John Mozeliak. Bill DeWitt Jr. was all in on keeping Albert Pujols after 2011. John Mozeliak said he was uncomfortable in making the offer that the Cardinals wound up making. Bill DeWitt, I can guarantee you it would kill him to trade a guy that he called the perfect Cardinal in Paul Goldschmidt. I would be very surprised if we would get to the deadline and Bill DeWitt Jr. would sign off on dealing Paul Goldschmidt. He likes having stars.
I agree.
He likes having stars. He likes having red jacket guys. He likes having future Hall of Famers. He enjoys having those guys on the team.
As you tinker with the roster, too, it's not only the way that they've done this, it's not only for the now to improve you down the stretch, but they like to acquire guys that have more than just 1 year, more than just rentals. And so you get maybe another year out of it. You get a year and a half, maybe 2 years out of the deal that you make the trade with that particular team with. But it seems to be the way that they do it. And not always, but it's more than just a rental. This is more than that. It's about just thinking of the now, improving your roster, but also enhancing what you're doing the following year.
So do you guys at least agree with what Bowden said of, okay, we get to the trade deadline, they will be looking to add a veteran starting pitcher, or is there some other areas you'd be looking to improve?
They have to be looking for a veteran.
I think it just depends on where you're at in the standings, too.
It does. But you need, because at some point you anticipate that you're going to play Philadelphia, and you need to have starting pitchers. You need to have 3 guys to go against Philly. Now, maybe Lance Lynn is that 3rd guy, and there's a long ways to go before we get to the trade deadline, but you need another starting pitcher, preferably somebody that you can say, okay, we'll go toe-to-toe with Zach Wheeler for 7 innings.
What about building up your bullpen? So you already have it. You know what you got in the starting staff. They're going to give you 5 pretty good innings. So just load up your bullpen with, and if you look at how postseason play is done, it is rare that guys go 7 innings.
Right.
So look at the trend, which is to go to the bullpen and just load it up with arms.
And Mo does that all the time.
Yes.
And you got to find teams. That's one of the things about losing is you don't overwork your good relievers because you don't have many leads, and that's how you get fresh arms, is you get the good relievers from bad teams.
Yeah. So from the 636, sorry, it moved just a little bit. Loyalty to the older players could be the Cardinals' downfall.
Well, a lot of people had a lot of fun a couple of years ago with Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright and Albert Pujols being on the team together, and that team wound up in the playoffs. So, sure, it could, but there's also something to be said for having a veteran presence that has been around the block.
And been there, done it a little bit. Guys that have been into postseason play, I think there's a ton to that. There's a lot to that.
Huge.
Yep.
Yeah, and the Cardinals, the manager understands that, the Pobo understands that. That's why, as much as you might hate having Brandon Crawford on the team right now, when it becomes it's literally a different sport in September. I think being around it, and I was around it a lot when the Cardinals were really good, but the intensity of September and October baseball is a completely different animal than the first 5 months of the season.
It's totally different, and I would say even the final 2 months of the regular season, if you're a team like the Cardinals and you're sitting there saying, okay, are we in, are we out, we're around 500, which I think is, if you stay around 500, to the point of the question to start this segment, if you're around 500, I think you go for it. Now, it doesn't mean that you would give up a ton, but I do think there's ways to enhance your team, especially bullpen-wise, going down the stretch.
By the way, one of the key guys for Arizona down the stretch last year was Tommy Pham.
Yep.
Because he'd been through those wars. And he helped a guy like Corbin Carroll who hadn't been through it before.
Yeah, Tommy Pham in the offseason likes to fight, apparently, too.
Well, just because he wants to be prepared to blank some guys up just in case.
He's always prepared, apparently. He also said in the quote yesterday, too, that I won't start things, but I'll finish it.
Yeah.
But you guys saw what happened. He kind of started it, didn't he?
He has a tendency to.
With William Contreras.
You love having
I don't
him
know
on
if
your
I would
team.
actually, like the Contreras brothers, I don't think I would go against them either, though.
No.
Where Contreras was set up, he gave him a lane to slide, too.
Yeah.
I don't put the blame on him. I think Tommy went after him a little bit, and
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
it was just one of those plays where, and Tommy is a fiery guy. I love him. I absolutely love Tommy Pham. Some people, it's not their cup of tea. For me, I love it. But if you looked at the play, Contreras gave him a huge lane to slide, and he kind of deviated the other way.
And Tommy, he had his head down when Contreras was waving his glove at him, but Contreras had to be saying something
Oh,
to
absolutely.
spark that sort of reaction.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
And
maybe
I
that's
don't-
what he meant.
I don't mind Contreras doing what he did, too.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to come after me. I held on to the ball. I got you out. It's the fiery nature of the play.
Yep. By the way, Mo, we know you're listening. I don't think it'd break any of our hearts to see you trade for Tommy Pham for the stretch run either. Be a buyer for him.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I
give me
just-
outfield.
I want to see bullpen help. Starters just don't go deep in the postseason.
They'll get that. And we'll get, Middleton hasn't had surgery, right?
Correct.
But he probably will. But then, like you mentioned earlier, Brooke, I completely forgot about Gallegos. But
Yeah.
he'll go out and get another. He always gets a relief pitcher.
And the way that you're using the big three, we've been saying this a lot. Can they sustain what they're doing? And last night showed there are some cracks in that armor with Romero.
I want Edwin Diaz because I just want the song when he comes into the game. Yeah, good.
I loved it when they brought in whoever that guy
Jimmy
is.
Trumpet.
Yep.
Yes,
And he did it live. That was phenomenal.
Fantastic. We just got to get him to the loo. That is Fresh Take on 101 ESPN. Coming up, they said, what? We've got a great one for you coming your way on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird Report. The Cardinals saw their slim lead quickly disappear in the 8th inning last night in the series opener against the Astros. Nolan Gorman homered twice, bringing his home run total to 13 on the year. Kyle Gibson allowing 3 runs on 5 hits and 3 walks while striking out 8 over 5 2/3. But the Astros tagged the Cardinals bullpen for 4 runs in the 8th, leading to their 7-4 victory. In that 8th inning, the Astros hit 2 home runs off of JoJo Romero in the span of 5 batters. Andre Palante, who threw 6 shutout innings in his first start of the season last week in Cincinnati, will get the start tonight in the second game of the series. First pitch will be at 7:10.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey, if you're running a fast-growing business in St. Louis, you need to listen to this because NetSuite's Business Grows Here event is coming to St. Louis on Thursday, June 27th. Why St. Louis? Well, because NetSuite knows St. Louis is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. Apply to attend the business event of the year taking place at the Union Station Hotel on Tuesday, June 27th, and you'll learn how Missouri is paving the way for new business growth and capital. See how technology, fueled by AI, is shaping the way we grow and run our business, and you'll be inspired by business leaders like Jamie Simonov, the founder of Ring Doorbell, who's headquartered his next company right here in St. Louis. NetSuite by Oracle, Business Grows Here, is free to attend if you qualify. Apply right now to find out because seats are going quickly. Apply at netsuite.com/Missouri. That's netsuite.com/Missouri. Block out your calendar for Thursday, June 27th for the business event of the year. Hear from Jamie Simonov. Again, apply at NetSuite, NetSuite, netsuite.com/Missouri.
What are you talking about, man?
What you talking about?
What the hell are you talking about?
What you talking about?
Do you actually listen to yourself when you speak, or do you find you drift in and out?
What you talking about?
Well, I'm out, man.
So we have a very early, they said, what? This week because I will not be here on Friday, but also there's a lot of stuff going on in the WNBA. No, they're not making headlines for good reasons. I don't know if you guys saw this past weekend because everybody's talking about it. I feel like you have to be living under a rock to not know what's going on right now with the WNBA. But after this weekend, Caitlin Clark, she took a hard foul from Chicago Sky guard Kennedy Carter, not Chinity Carter, which it should be Chinity, to be fair, Randy. And Angel Reese, who is on the...
We don't call it Cauda.
Oh, my gosh. Chicago Sky team. She was also, you could see in the video, she was appearing to cheer her teammate on the sideline. So Angel Reese was fined after the game because she didn't make herself available for comment, but she did speak yesterday, and this is what she had to say about more eyes being on the WNBA currently right now.
I think so many people are watching women's basketball right now. It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too, and I want y'all to realize that. Like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of us have done so much for this game, and Kennedy has been here before, obviously, but there are so many great players in this league that have deserved this for a really, really long time, and luckily, it's coming now.
So when you hear those comments, one, is she exactly wrong? No, I will give her credit for that. But if you look at everything that panned out in that whole situation, and you go back to this past weekend, yes, was it a hard foul technically? But at the same time, it was a cheap shot. That's where I was going with that, is that it was a cheap shot and that it was targeted. Now, with Angel Reese and what she's saying, yes, people are paying attention to the WNBA now more than ever. And honestly, Caitlin Clark does have a lot to do with it, and that's not a bad thing. The thing that I hate about it is that people are tuning in and they're watching more than just Caitlin Clark, but this is a way that you're representing things. I understand that things get physical in a basketball game, because I've heard that explanation as well. It's like, well, you know, the WNBA has been like this. It feels like there's a huge difference here. And it also seems when you're speaking in that way that it comes across as being resentful or jealous, that Caitlin Clark seems to be getting more of the attention. And I'm not taking anything away from Angel Reese, but, you know, at the same time, it just does not, the timing of what she says and the way that she phrased it, I don't think necessarily lands in the way that she was hoping. Because, yes, more people are paying attention all the other girls in the WNBA, but is this currently the way that you would like to see the WNBA represented?
Well, I'll go back to this. She said she said it was a single game. Talking about an NCAA championship game that has garnered so much interest. No, it's a single player. Mm-hmm. It's Caitlin Clark. So let's go back again. Attendance at non-Caitlin Clark WNBA games this past weekend. 7,000, 4,000, 9,000, 7,000, 3,200, 10,000, 7,000. In the games that Caitlin Clark played in, there was 17-2 and 17-4. So why do you think people are watching? To watch Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, right. And the reason that Caitlin Clark is getting all the attention is because she's the Division I women's scoring leader. She's the all-time leader in points among women's college basketball players. She's the all-time leader in men's and women's college basketball. She tied for the most threes in a game in NCAA tournament history. She passed Diana Taurasi for the most three-pointers in NCAA tournament history. She passed Shamika Holdsclaw for the most career NCAA points, tournament points. She won 2 Wooden Awards in a row for women's basketball. So she is the reason. I get the jealousy. I get the envy that these people are having. But you know what? Brad Thompson has a great line. A lot of athletes have a great line. BT uses it a lot. If you don't like it, play better. I don't think it makes sense for WNBA players to be physically attacking Caitlin Clark because she literally is the golden goose.
It is. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it just looks like... It just looks in poor taste. I think what you said there, envy, is the best way to describe it. It looks like envy and that you're jealous. Mm-hmm. And I just think about the young girls tuning in and who are watching this, from the excitement from what they saw with Caitlin Clark and what she did in college, carrying that over. We know how many young eyes are now paying attention to the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark, but because of other people. Yes, people might come to see Caitlin at first, but then if you are bringing more eyes, they'll become fans of other players too. If you're watching, do you want to become a fan of Carter after seeing that? Do you want to become a fan of Reese after seeing her cheering on her teammate doing that cheap shot on the sidelines? Like, no.
And this all started, I think, with Diana Taurasi during the tournament when she was doing that show, and she said reality is coming. And I think she probably lit the fuse for all of this that's happening to Caitlin Clark.
I've got no problem with the league introducing her to some physicality, but cheap shots need to be taken out. And I guess I would question, where are her teammates to protect her on this, and where is the league to step in immediately and not hand out a $1,000 fine? Hand out something more substantial, to where if you're a player and you know that this particular individual got a fine of, I don't know, $25,000, whatever, where it significantly hurts their revenue that comes into them, then I think players think twice about doing what we saw over the weekend.
Yeah, I think that it's just really disappointing to see, and I think that at this point the WNBA needs to do something, because it's a bad look. And I understand that Reese likes playing the villain role, and we talk about it all the time. You like to have villains in your leagues. I think that it can be a good thing, but not when it's like that, where it's very targeted. There's a thin line between competitiveness and unsportsmanlike conduct.
Right. And let's see what happens. If Angel Reese is right, then Nobody in the NBA should have any problem with Caitlin Clark going to the 3-on-3 league, right? Taking the $5 million there, leaving the WNBA, and go play 20 games for $5 million a year in the 3-on-3 league. Nobody should have any problem with that because everybody will tune in to see Angel Reese. Everybody, that 17,000 that was at the Chicago game the other day, they were there to see Angel Reese. So let's start believing that.
They should be kissing her butt.
Yep.
This is the reason that there's interest in the WNBA. If she's not in the WNBA this year, we even talking about this, if that kind of foul happened?
No chance.
None. There's no chance.
So they said, what?
They said, what? A very early one. And it seems like the saga will continue.
Yeah, I think so.
The thing is
Yeah.
that it's never ending, and then ESPN battling with each other. The thing is that it is bringing a lot of attention to the point where, honestly, that was the big story with ESPN. All the shows yesterday were talking about it. Now, some of them said some things, but at the same time, it's dominating national headlines.
Yeah, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
I just think that the league needs to step in.
Yeah.
And if you find a player a significant amount of money, I'm serious. I mean, I know even in the heat of the moment, there's a player that said, we can't do this going into the game. Now, we can get physical and play her tough, but to sit there and do cheap shots, you think twice about it.
Right. Oh, by the way, Caitlin Clark needs to play better, too.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah, she's not doing much.
There's a lot of different stuff going on there, too.
No, she's like leading. She like set the rookie record for getting to a certain amount of points and assists and in the amount of games she's played in.
She was 1 for 10 the other day from 3. She's not among.
She's averaging 16, 6, and 5 right now. She needs to get better from the field, though. She's only shooting 35% from the field and 30% from deep.
Yeah, so
the shooting numbers are lagging behind. That's fair.
Yeah. Coming up next, Brooke, thanks for winning the fight yesterday.
Barely.
You won, though.
Barely.
They don't ask how, they ask how many.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go with that.
That's right. Yeah. I don't have, well, I do have a 19-0 patch, but it in my office. But,
what is your longest stretch of winning?
I don't know, Matthew. Do you have any idea since you took over? It's been pretty good.
God, it was 23 in a row because we had a double dozen or 2 dozen celebration planned.
Oh, okay.
And he lost on the 23rd straight, and he didn't go for 24. That was the longest run. That was my first year here, so that was back in 2020. That was back in 2022.
Yeah, my winning percentage is probably like 56%, Dan, something like that.
Not bad.
It's like 94% all time or something like that.
I thought it was like more 42. It was under 50%, something like that.
So let's just check, just for fun. Let's check the 2001.
Randy's winning percentage is kind of like an Eastern European soccer league in the 1960s.
Oh yeah. I like that.
There's one team, it's like, how the hell did they win 20 out of 28 championships?
2001 Mariners had a 7-16. That was the best all time.
Would they win 116 games?
They did.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Great, now I got to burn a question. Thank you.
The fight is coming your way next, and I guess we need a fighter. 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO with your name and the word fight if you'd like to fight me here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you haven't had your air conditioner checked for the summer yet, you need to call Hoffman Brothers and get on the schedule to get your air conditioner checked out. And make sure that you're good to go for the summer. Hoffman Brothers' number is 314-664-3011, 314-664-3011, and you can call or text, or you can hop online at hoffmanbros.com. And with the warm St. Louis Hummer heat coming our way, if you haven't scheduled that air conditioner tune-up, you need to do so. They'll come out with filters. They'll have a friendly reminder for you to make sure that everything is good to go for the future of your air conditioner. And so they're going to come out, clean it out, take a look, check it out, and tell you exactly what the lifespan of your air conditioner is. And if your air conditioner has a hard time keeping up with the summer heat, if it did last year, then you probably do have some issues and you need to get them taken care of. Hoffman Brothers can solve all those problems. The number again, 314-664-3011. You can find them on the web at hoffmanbros.com. Hoffman Brothers, a proud Mitsubishi Electric elite contractor.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you why I love the Missouri Athletic Club. It's because they're helping me stick to my big goals for this year. One, getting into better shape and getting back into tennis. I go over and work out at the West location twice a week. I'm actually going to see Christine today, and I've noticed a huge difference, and it's just so much fun seeing her, and the staff is always so kind and friendly. Also, they're helping me with tennis. Scott over there, he's getting me back into my tennis form, at least the best that he can. It's just so much fun going over there, and that's what they do there. They always provide such a wonderful experience, and that's why I love my MAC.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals yesterday had a 4-2 lead in the sixth, but then it fell apart there, and they lose to the Astros to start that series 7-4. They'll go for a win in Game 2 tonight. Another 7-10 first pitch down in Houston. Andre Palante is the starter for the Cardinals, 1-1 on the season with a 3.94 ERA. He faces off against the righty for the Houston Astros, Spencer Arrighetti. Arrighetti on the season is 3-5 with a 5.98 ERA. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Drive. Brooke, Dan, and Rocchio here, and it is time for the fight. Randy is back to take on the fighter today. Luckily, I had to just get through that, Dan. That was my approach yesterday, was just get through this and hopefully
get through it.
Just toss it over to Randy and not make him mad.
He would be very pleased with your win, and I'm sure he's very happy because now he's got a streak of, what we got? Who knows?
Who knows at this point?
No, that's it? Okay.
Yeah, he lost on Thursday, remember?
Oh.
I don't remember yesterday.
He lost on Thursday. He won a controversial one on Friday, and then Brooke obviously continues it on.
All right.
Just barely. And now we will welcome in Tony. Tony, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I got my Starbucks coffee, which is the equivalent of Randy's grapes, so I'm ready to go.
Oh, I see what you did there. What is your go-to order?
Let me look at the label because I always forget. Salted caramel cold foam cold brew, but you got to put the sweet cream in.
That sounds delicious. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
Faced him one other time. I beat a guest player, and then Randy beat me the next day. So,
Okay. You ready to take on Randy in the fight?
Let's do it.
Question number 1, Tony. Bill Belichick is tied for the most losses in NFL history with 165. He is tied with both Jeff Fisher and this multiple Super Bowl losing head coach. Is it Bud Grant, Dan Reeves, or Marv Levy?
Let's go with Levy.
Final answer, Tony?
Final answer.
All right. Question 2. Who is the only active NHL player with over 200 career playoff points? Sidney Crosby, Steven Stamkos, or Patrick Kane?
You got to go Sid. Got to go Sidney.
Sid the Kid it is. On to question 3 we go.
Who is the last Cardinals pitcher to throw multiple complete games in a season? Is it Jack Flaherty, Jordan Montgomery, or Adam Wainwright?
Let's go with Wayno.
And question 4, only 3 National League franchises have ever repeated as World Series champions. The Big Red Machine in the 1970s, the Cubs in the 1900s, and which other franchise? Is it the Giants, the Dodgers, or the Marlins?
Let's go Giants.
All right, Tony. Well done. You're going to put some pressure here on Randall.
How are you feeling, Tony?
Well, I wasn't feeling good, but thanks to Dan, I feel all right.
Yeah, he was giving you some words of encouragement there. And you have your Starbucks, so that's always good.
That's right.
What just happened? Oh, okay, there you go. You were yelling for him?
Randy!
Dan's making sure that Randy will come quickly in here.
Yes, I'm here.
Randy, you usually trot in here, but there was a little pep in your step after Dan kind of yelled at you there.
Yeah, I got that got me going. Woke me up.
About you. I couldn't find you.
I was putting my Propel bottle in the recycling.
Oh, very, very green of you, Randy. Say hi to Tony.
Tony, good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
I think Rocchio is not going to make it.
Randy!
Are you ready for question number 1?
I'm
if
ready.
Rocchio can survive in the background here. Okay. Bill Belichick is tied for the most losses in NFL history with 165. He is tied with both Jeff Fisher and this multiple Super Bowl losing
Dan
head coach.
Reeves.
You want to think about that one at all?
Yeah, a little
I
bit.
didn't even
Dan
finish the
Reeves.
sentence.
I know. Fisher, Jeff Fisher, right there.
Is this your final answer?
Dan Reeves will be my final answer, sir.
Who is the only active NHL player with over 200 career playoff points?
Active NHL player with over 200 career playoff points. I am going to go with Sid the Kid.
We were talking about him earlier, so you're going Sidney Crosby.
I will go Sidney Crosby.
On to question 3.
Who is the last Cardinals pitcher to throw multiple complete games in a season?
Ooh. I think Wayno would be logical here. I don't think Jack Flaherty ever did it. Maybe Miles. Maybe Miles Michaelis. I'll go with number 39, Miles Michaelis.
And question 4, only 3 National League franchises have ever repeated as World Series champions. The Big Red Machine in the 70s, the Cubs in the 1900s, and which other franchise?
Which other franchise? Cubs in the 1900s, Big Red Machine. So the Cardinals, you had, well, you didn't win in 27 because the 27 Yankees won. 30s, maybe? Let's see, the 40s, you had 42, 46. Didn't do it in the 50s, didn't do it in the 60s, didn't do it in the 70s. Before we pick the Cardinals, though, it's going to be an older school franchise. Giants, I don't think, well, maybe they did. Giants or Doyers. It's got to be one of those two, right? It's certainly not the Braves. 57, 58. You know, I think I will go with the Bravos. I'm not positive, but I'm going to go with them anyway.
All right. Is that your final answer?
I'll go with them.
Matthew, do your thing, please.
All right. A tough fight today. A close fight today. Randy Carricker coming back from vacation. Do we roll on with another victory, or does Tony, or Anthony, as he originally texted in, take away a win today? Ring that bell.
The winner and new champion of the fight, Average Joe Listener.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Congratulations, Tony. Good win today. You beat Randy Carricker 3-2 today in the fight.
Let's go. See you tomorrow, Randy.
Wow.
Oh, little cockiness there, Tony. I liked it. I liked it. Good job there. Let's go through the questions and answers, see where you got it. Bill Belichick's tied for the most losses in NFL history with 165. That's regular season losses. He's tippy tops of the list when you factor in playoffs. He's tied with both Jeff Fisher and multiple Super Bowl losing head coach Dan Reeves. The only active NHL player with over 200 career playoff points is, in fact, Sidney Crosby. He's sitting at 201. Number 2 is actually Kucherov with 190. I'm shocked he's above Stamkos. The last Cardinal pitcher to throw multiple complete games in a season is 3 by Adam Wainwright in the 2021 season. And there are only 3 National League franchises have ever repeated as World Series champions. The Big Red Machine in the 70s, the Cubs in the 1900s, and in the 1920s, the New York Giants became the second ever. And then the third, only 3 total NL franchises. So the Reds, the Cubs, and the Giants were number 3. So that is a 3-2 win for Tony. So Tony, congratulations, sir, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right.
Looking forward to that. Yeah,
yes.
Let's go.
Let's go. It was the coffee. He had Starbucks beforehand.
Good for him.
Yes.
That's very nice. So that's the fight here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, Dylan Carlson doesn't have to worry about Jordan Walker relegating him to the bench. Somebody else has already done that. That's next on 101 ESPN.
It's a Tuesday morning. Let's talk about Stewart's American Mortgage. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home or refinance, or if you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, and maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to in any of these things, so let's make it easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage, and he's going to help you every step of the way. If it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he'll get you to the closing table fast. And you're asking, Danny Mac, how fast? How about 10 days, and he'll get you the best interest rate possible. And he also has the bagel loan that can help you out too. So what's the bagel loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, and no closing costs. Stewart is your guy. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give Stewart a call. You can call him directly or text him on his personal cell phone. Here's that number, 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
We've talked a lot about the Cardinals' left-handed hitting over the course of the last couple of years because there have been times where they didn't have any left-handed hitting, and now there seems to be an abundance of it with the emergence of Nolan Gorman recently. Obviously, Brendan Donovan is back and healthy, and Alec Burleson, who hit .331 in his last year in AAA, is hitting .302 this year over his last 22 games with a .318 on base, a .488 slug for an .807 OPS during his last 22 games. He's got 26 hits, 5 homers, and the Cardinals didn't expect a ton of power from him with only 8 strikeouts and 10 runs batted in. If Jordan Walker is looking for a way to get back to the majors, Burleson probably is going to be a larger impediment to Walker's return than, say, a Dylan Carlson would be.
100%.
Or an injured Newbar.
Yeah, 100%. I just think make the decision very tough on the Cardinals, which would be Jordan Walker hitting the ball in the air. And let's face it, if he's going to come back, he's got to play every day. Mm-hmm. We talk about this a lot. I mean, if Jordan Walker is going to wind up going from AAA back to the major leagues, you don't want him just going up and down, up and down. That's just not good for his career and, quite frankly, not good for the Cardinals. So if he's going to play, he's got to play every day.
Jordan Walker, what else do you need to see from him at this point? I know it was just one home run, but as you mentioned, is it just seeing it more on a consistent level offensively, what he's able to bring? Because I felt like it wasn't exactly as clear about the reason that he was being sent down. I felt like last year was a lot of talk about the launch angle and exit velocity, and maybe that is still the case, but it also seemed like it was more of a confidence issue as well. And
pitch selection. I think that his ability to discern the pitch made it difficult, and especially the low and away, that slider that kills so many right-handed hitters, that was getting him. He couldn't hit that with a paddle.
I thought it made the decision was made pretty easily. Yeah, he's hitting 150 or whatever it was, and his hips are flying open, can't get to a slider, to your point, Randy, or even a fastball low and away, pulling off every pitch. Mechanically, he needed to work on that.
Now with Burleson, among healthy Cardinal players, he's third in OPS. Gorman is at 813, Wynn is at 764, Burleson at 729 on the season now. That's leaving out Contreras and Lars Nootbaar, who are both on the shelf, obviously. But not only is Burleson third among active players, but as we mentioned with the earlier numbers over the last 22 games, he appears to be improving. He appears to be finding his way at the major league level.
Yeah, the Cardinals right now are 8th from the bottom in home runs, and they're 7th from the bottom in OPS. So if you're going to bring up Jordan Walker, he's got to supply power.
I'm very interested to when Lars Nootbaar returns, just how this whole outfield shapes up, because then I'm also assuming, too, that Jordan Walker possibly couldn't be far behind. I think Tommy Edman, is it safe to say, guys, that he's out of the conversation for now, for a good while, or maybe even possibly the season? So what do you think would be the ideal outfield that you could put out there?
Assuming Edman is not available?
Yes.
I think Siani has to play center field for you. And I think Burleson has to be out there. So that's two of them. By the way, Burleson is third on the team in slug behind only Contreras and Gorman. That's what Ali Marmol is about most, is slug.
I think the most ideal lineup is a healthy and productive Jordan Walker in right field, and then worry about everything else.
So I agree with that. And you want him to perform the way he did last year in the last 2 months of the season. If you have that Jordan Walker, then I think it is Burleson, and because of his great defense, Siani.
Yeah, right now, if there's no Tommy Edman, it's got to be Siani. Now, if Tommy Edman returns and he looks like he could produce, then Siani, to me, goes to being the fourth outfielder. I think he's been really good with what he's done. And where in this equation is Lars Nootbaar? And Nootbaar needs to stay on the field. His availability is in question, but that's... You could have a logjam, but that's a good problem to have. And some guys will get hot. They sit, the cold guys, and that's the way it would go. I think that's how you have to look at it, is ride the hot hand down the stretch.
And here's the question I'm asking myself if I'm putting together a lineup on a particular day. Who has more upside? Who has more chance to do something to help my team win? Alec Burleson or Lars Nootbaar?
Burleson.
And then Alec Burleson or Jordan Walker, Lars Nootbaar or Jordan Walker. And I'm relegating Nootbaar at this point to corner outfield. I'm not putting him in center field.
Depends on what Walker's doing.
Right.
But Walker would be
upside,
my guy.
Your ultimate upside on a particular day, Walker's when he's going like he was last year down the stretch. And we don't know if he'll ever achieve that again, but we know he's capable of it. Who has more capability to do something to give your team an element of winning, whether it's running, fielding, throwing? Well, Nootbaar's a better defensive player, but hitting for power, I would say at the plate, Walker's upside is much greater than Nootbaar's.
I think whoever's hot.
Yeah.
That's how I'd look at it. In the beginning of the season, I can let some of this slide and say, guys in a bad 2-week stretch, but you ride it out. You're getting to the point now when you get towards, let's say, July 4th, where I can't do that. I got to ride the hot hand.
One month from today.
Yeah. And the thing is that, you guys are both right with Jordan Walker. If he can get back to what you were expecting from him offensively, or he can really develop into that even more. So we saw that last season at certain points. You need more of that pop from the outfield currently, and you need more of that consistently offensively, and that's what's missing from this group. So from the outside, just kind of going back to my question, with this ideal outfield, I say that it's safe to say that Lars Nootbaar is kind of the fourth outfielder that you guys are envisioning. Look who isn't a part of the conversation in Dylan Carlson. What happens with Dylan Carlson moving forward? He does have options, so you send him down in the minors, but man, what a regression we're just continuing to see from him, where he's not even a part of this conversation of how you would want him to be one of your outfield options.
I think if you have the best outfield you possibly can, to me, Michael Siani sits. He would be a fourth outfielder to me. I don't know if you agree with that, Randy, but I know that right now, he's your best option to play center field. But if you have a healthy Tommy Edman, healthy Nootbaar, let's say Walker is going to come up at some point, this is what you signed up for with Michael Siani, and he is ahead of Dylan Carlson in my mind. So he'd be my fourth outfielder, and then I have to figure out where places would go with Burleson. Is he a DH? Does he give some time to Goldie to sit? You sit Goldie every once in a while, once every 10 to 14 days, so you get his bat in the lineup as a first baseman. I just think that there's ways you can mix and match with this.
A couple of things. Number one, I think we can go back to the genesis of this. Burleson is in there for all of us, right, at the moment, based on his first third of the season. But with Carlson, unfortunately for him, a combination of mishandling and bad luck and COVID did him in.
Injuries.
Remember, he lost an entire minor league season with COVID. Came up during the COVID season and was good at the end. Then he has the decent year in 21 where he's third in the National League Rookie of the Year. But since then, it's been injury and rushing back and not ever being able to get into a substantial groove where he's playing all the time. And maybe that needs to happen at AAA.
Dylan Carlson was batting fourth against the San Diego Padres in postseason play.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big slide that he's had right now with regression to where he's just trying to fight to get into everyday lineup. Do you ditch him hitting from the left side? I think that's something that's on the table at this point, and they've talked about that for the better part of a year. So, yeah, there's some things that need to be worked on with him, but he does have options, and maybe the best thing for him is to go down and play.
Do you think with Dylan Carlson, him sticking with switch hitting could be part of his issues sometimes? I know that injuries, all the other stuff that we listed are part of it, but as you just mentioned there, should that have been something they looked at a little bit sooner?
When you have that guy and he's been switch hitting since he was 6 and wants to continue switch hitting, I think it's a hard ask to ask a player to not switch hit anymore. It very well could be. Same thing with Edman, right? Edman picks his spots when he's going to hit right-handed against right-handed pitching. But with a guy like Carlson, it's been so pronounced. I figured, though, that if he got a chance to play and played 50 out of 55 games, I figured that it'd all smooth out and things would happen for him.
Yeah.
And it just never did.
Nope, hasn't happened, and it's something, I think it's on the table.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll do it, but it's on the table right now.
Yep. The Rush Hour Reset coming your way next on 101 ESPN. Hey guys, how you feeling? Are you enthused? Are you energized? Are you motivated? If you're not, then mentality might be in your future, because mentality deals with guys just like you who are dealing with low energy, low motivation, maybe feeling a little bit moody or irritable. At mentality, they can tell you what the problems are, because most times those problems are related for a guy past 30 years old to a drop in testosterone level. And if your testosterone level is too low, it leads to those very symptoms. At Mentality, they have an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that will allow you to be the person that you want to be, the guy that you used to be. You go in, you work with their board-certified physicians. They'll do a complete panel on your blood work and find out where your testosterone level is, and then restore it to a level that you were at when you were in your 20s. It makes all the difference in the world, and it'll make you feel so much better. They're going to work with your insurance company to make sure that your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as can be, and you'll feel great. Start at lowtusa.com. Make an appointment at their Chesterfield or South County clinic and get back in the game with Mentality.
Change up your daily fantasy game with Underdog Fantasy's new Pick'em product right now in Missouri. A Pick'em game right now in Missouri. Pick'em champions. You pick 2 to 5 players from at least different teams. Select higher or lower on the player stat projections. You know what we're doing here. Put in your entry fee. As long as you hit your entries, you're walking away with your winnings. Let's put one together right now for the Cardinals game coming up a little bit later. I'm going to go higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for Alex Bregman. Andre Palante, we're going to go lower than 16.5 pitching outs. And Mason Wynn, I think he's going to restart that hitting streak. We're going to go higher than 0.5 hits for Mason Wynn tonight. And you can build on that. It's super easy to play and even easier to get started. You just go to the easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code ROCC, and Underdog will give you a mystery special pick to use on your first Pick'em entry and a deposit offer. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to claim your new customer special of a mystery player pick and your deposit offer. You take that mystery player pick and you add it right now, you're going to take this entry from 3x to about 6x of your original entry. That must be 18 plus in President's Day where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Consider your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
Recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
It's 9:06 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Carlson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke, Dan, Randy with you. The Cardinals fall last night 7-4 to the Houston Astros after leading heading into the bottom of the 8th. Alex Bregman with a home run to tie the game and then another home run to put Houston ahead, and they wind up winning the game by a score of 7-4. And the Cardinals will be back at it tonight, trying to get back on the winning track.
I think the biggest story of the game is the 8th inning. And a lot of people debating, I saw it on social media, but maybe it's been smoothed over a little bit. But in the 8th inning, we saw what happened with JoJo Romero, who's been excellent. And there was a lot of questions of, well, could Ollie Marmol have gone to someone else? And Ollie spoke after the game, and he mentioned that Fernandez was down. He was not available. And, of course, Helsley is your guy in the 9th inning. And it came down to experience. So I think we can all agree here. There was nobody else you could turn to, and in a situation like that, you go to your best arm. And who is that in that situation? It's JoJo Romero.
Yeah, it's Romero. And I think some fans would say, well, why not go with Liberatore in that spot? He's been awful against right-handed batters. I was looking at this just the other day, or going into the game last night. He 328 average against right-handers and a 985 OPS. So you can't go to Liberatore in that spot. Fernandez, to your point, Brooke, would have been working in his 3rd straight game. And I think we have to remember he's got 15 major league innings. That's another part. Now he may emerge and get more opportunities when the big three are unavailable, and Romero has been fantastic. So sometimes you stick with those guys and it just doesn't work out, and that was one of those games last night.
I think the other big story is the errors that you saw in the game. You had errors by Gorman and by Mason Wynn, and it increased the Cardinals' total to 21 in their last 18 games. That puts a lot of pressure on the pitchers, and it extends the inning as well.
That's the thing. The pitchers are throwing more pitches and exponentially causes you to get to Romero earlier than you ordinarily would.
Yeah, Kittredge again does the job, and I love the role that he's in, and he's so tough on righties with that slider. And then you're hoping to get to Helsley if you're the Cardinals and saying, well, you're not going to bring him in early in a game. He's going to go in the 9th, but you got to bridge the gap, and it just didn't work last night.
Andre Palante will go for the Cardinals tonight. He was great in his first start of the year last week, and he'll be opposed by Arrighetti of Houston, and the young right-hander, 3-5, Spencer Arrighetti, with an earned run average this year of 5.98. So maybe Arrighetti is a guy that the Cardinals can get to.
What do you do with the bullpen going tonight? You know, Romero is no way he pitches.
Yeah, Palante goes 7.
He's going to have to be extended. And that's what they did last night with Kyle Gibson. He was on fumes. And I think there's 2 ways to look at it. One, it's your game to win or lose. And he just kept throwing slider, and cutter at the very end of the game because he was on fumes. And the other thing that you could look at is that do you get him out in that game earlier? But they were hamstrung with their bullpen, and they may be a little hamstrung tonight. This would be a kind of night that Matthew Liberatore probably gives you multiple innings when you need it.
And I think that's what it exposed. It exposed the depth that you don't have at this moment because, I mean, if you had Keenan Middleton available, which he was a part of the plan early on, I think that he's getting a second opinion, but either way, it doesn't look like he would be returning anytime soon. Or maybe if Giovanni Gallegos would have been better this year, that would have been another option in your bullpen. But the situation they're in right now, who do you turn to?
You will have, as Dan mentioned, Liberatore. You will have Ryan Fernandez available tonight. I would think that Kittredge only threw 12 pitches last night.
He'd be available for a hitter or two.
I would think so. And then just try to set it up for Helsley in the ninth.
That's the only way you can do it. It's funny. You get to watching the Cardinals, at least in my mind, it becomes with a lead in the sixth. It becomes an 8-inning game. I just feel like Ryan Helsley is about as automatic as it gets. Now, does he make it interesting at times? Yeah, but he's been outstanding. He'll be an all-star this year if everything keeps going the way it is. It becomes an 8-inning game, which does shut down your bullpen a little bit in terms of what you need to do to get to him. It's just a matter of using the big three and using them properly.
I thought it was interesting also last night that in that particular situation, Ludos was the guy that was brought in. Not that there was a ton of options for Ali Marmol, but that still was a game when Ludos came in.
I think they were just left with him, and at some point you got to get his feet wet.
Right.
You know, Leahy is another one, but yeah, I'm with you. It's not ideal, and he's not in an ideal situation. And who knows if he should be in the big leagues, but that's for another debate. But at this point, sometimes you're thrust in those spots, and that's what happened last night.
A question for you guys about the errors and how we've talked about just some of the defensive miscues that we've seen from this team lately. In your minds, what has changed from what we saw this team being so sound defensively earlier on in the season? I mean, we talked about a lot to the changes that we've seen here as of late.
I think you have young players, and I think, in the beginning of the season, it was just one of those stretches where you got away with it, and when you have young players, Gorman is still learning how to play second base, and the other part of this is Mason Wynn gets to a lot of balls that other guys don't, so error total is going to go up, and he plays with flash and all that stuff, but you should expect some growing pains out of him as you go along this season, too.
Well, there's a great deal of attention paid to defense in spring training, and fundamentals are instilled, but if you don't keep working on fundamentals, they're going to deteriorate. Back in my day, the Cardinals teams under Whitey Herzog worked really hard on fundamentals every day during the season, and that's why they were really good. Now, for lack of a better term, infield is fun and games. It's not serious. It's Ozzie Smith took everything he did. I don't want to compare Mason Wynn to Ozzie Smith, but Ozzie, even when he had become a 10-time All-Star, took everything he did seriously in pregame. And I don't know, because I don't see the pregame, but I saw last year, and I talked to people about it, the deterioration of the fundamentals. I don't know if that's what's happening now. I think it's more likely, Dan, that it's what you say. They're just young players, and over the course of 6 months, stuff like this is going to happen.
You know what shocked me, guys, is that I would watch teams, I'd get to the ballpark really early, and I never saw infield. I just never saw it. Now, I see guys taking ground balls constantly. Nolan Arenado has a way that he goes about it and how he prepares, and he does basically the routine that he wants just about every day. But you don't see infield practice hardly ever anymore. But I'm not blaming what's happening on that. I just think you have youth, and sometimes in youth, you get problems. And that's what's happening right now.
And I know there was a point earlier this season where somebody was struggling to, it was last year when the defense was struggling. And Joe Madden said, you know what, I would just have a mini spring training. I would, for a week, we're going to get out there and we're going to reinforce the fundamentals.
Teams do that. Cardinals do that too. I also think at times you have guys playing out of position, and more so in this day and age of baseball. Randy, you go back to your day. I mean, how many times did you see guys just shift in and out? Now, Kendo was an anomaly. You could put him anywhere, and he was going to be able to play the position. It's tough to find those guys now. You just don't see it all that much. So I think with guys playing a little out of position, guys learning different positions, Burleson going to left, then he goes to right. Then you have Nolan Gorman trying to get better at second base. You don't see the errors so much out of Arenado. You don't see him much out of Goldie. They're veterans. They've been doing it. They're Gold Glove type players. But when you have guys playing somewhat out of position, it's kind of learning on the fly, too.
And I believe that was the 10th error for Mason Wynn.
It was.
Yeah, 10th. So it's tough. And hopefully, too, Dan, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but he kind of looked a little off a little bit towards the end there. And I think that's something to watch for. As we know, it's a very open secret at this point because Ollie Marmol has talked about it, but they are managing his back. And so that's why we see him get some days off.
Well, you think they've been doing that?
There's no way to avoid it, Dan, is there?
No,
I'm trying to think of like different ways to describe it, new name. There's just no way to get around it.
About a week back.
Thank you, sir.
Why do you jump in on it, Matthew? You just let it lie.
Because I treat radio like improv, Dan. Yes,
Okay.
yes, and. Yes, and.
Yeah.
Yes, and.
I guess so.
I'm always ready to play ball.
Yes, and I don't like it.
That's good.
Yo-ho, baby.
Oh, he wants his machine. He wants his machine.
Go ahead.
Okay, so sure. Mason Wynn does have 10 errors. Ellie De La Cruz has 11.
I was just going to bring him up.
Yep. O'Neal Cruz has 10, too.
If you look at, I was looking at Ellie De La Cruz yesterday and comparing the year that he's having with Mason Wynn. Mason Wynn is right on par with that and actually has a higher WAR. Mason Wynn's higher WAR is above 2. De La Cruz is around 1. That's the impact that Mason Wynn has made as a rookie this season playing shortstop, and that's not an easy thing to do.
And defensive WAR, Wynn has a 1 D WAR, and Ellie De La Cruz has a 0.3. As a matter of fact, defensive WAR at the shortstop position, it's Tovar in Colorado and Wynn with the Cardinals that are tops in defensive WAR.
So I think the point is that you live with some of the errors as you go along. You know they're going to be there, but his range, his arm, what he does with double plays, the fact that he's producing at the plate, you just live with some of those things.
And, you know, we talk about how tough it is at the major league level to have to learn a new position, right? It's really hard. Third in defensive WAR among shortstops in the National League is Mookie Betts.
Incredible, isn't it?
It's amazing. He's just a ball player.
He's an anomaly. He's just a freak in all of the best terms that you can say. You're a freak. Yeah. I mean that in the most positive way. He's awesome.
Yep. Hey, coming up next, Ben Fredrickson over at STL Today has a list of 5 sporting events that St. Louis should bring to the city. Anything that you'd spend money on or time? That's next time, 101 ESPN.
Trading your car at a dealership? Get serious. Your car is worth more and they want to pay you less. Get full retail value without the retail hassle at sellmycarstl.com. With a new convenient location on Manchester Road in Bowen, that's sellmycarstl.com.
McDonald's bagels are back and they brought...
What if I told you that you could sell your home, get the cash, and stay in the home for up to 12 months while you find or build your next home? Gloria Liu is able to eliminate the traditional hassles of buying and selling at the same time. Gloria is amazing. Her name is her promise and says it all. Your home sold, guaranteed realty. Gloria's mastered the home selling promise by guaranteeing upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, and that's guaranteed. Gloria has solutions for every type of home seller. If you want a fast sale with no hassles, Gloria's multiple cash offer program is a great option to consider. No showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer to choose from in minutes. But if you want to stay in your home for 12 months, you can do that as well with Gloria Liu. Give her a call, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or you can find her on the web at gloriahasthebuyers.com. If you want to sell your home now or next year, it's Gloria Liu at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Universal Windows Rec. The heat has arrived and it's only going to get hotter from here. Do not cool off the outside this year. Call my guys over at Universal Windows Rec. While we're all excited for it to get warmer outside, I love when it gets warmer outside. I'm not exactly excited to see that energy bill, and that's where Universal Windows comes in handy. Their windows feature super spacer technology, which helps keep the edge of the glass warmer, holds the windowsill longer, and makes the windows last up to 5 times longer than other window systems. So your windows from Universal perform better and they last longer. Schedule your free in-home estimate today, and for every 2 windows you buy, get the next 2 for free, plus 0% financing for 36 months. Restrictions apply. Universal Windows Rec backs it all up with a true lifetime warranty as long as you own the home. Mention my name and you can get an additional $250 off your next project. Go to UWD.com. That's UWD.com. And like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. And our friend Brendan Fredrickson over at STLtoday.com has a list of 5 sporting events that St. Louis should bring to the city. Are any of these 5 getting your $100 and 6 hours of your Saturday? Let's start with this. If the Battlehawks win the championship, a Battlehawks parade. Are you heading downtown to watch a Battlehawks parade down Market Street?
Yes. I don't think that, I know you're going to go through the full list. I don't think there's anything that anybody will say no to, but Battlehawks parade, we should already be planning it. We need to get on that here soon. And 100% I'm going to
and
that.
It shouldn't cost nothing.
Would it really? You'd have a parade for the Battlehawks?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Championships, babe.
Really?
Yeah. Cause the law.
Okay.
If you have 60,000 people going to their championship game, those people want to celebrate.
Dan, no parade?
I guess I'm in the minority on this. I mean, sure, they can throw a parade. I'm not sure how many people would show up.
A lot of people, I believe.
A lot of people.
Well,
Maybe.
not Stanley Cup parade.
Yeah. And the cool thing is we could introduce the players to the city of St. Louis.
Randy.
Huh? Am I wrong?
No.
Well, some of them have come to town, and then they're in town when they play, of course.
They are. That's true, yeah.
Yes.
How about an MLS All-Star game? You going?
Yes.
You there?
Messi's in. I'm there.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Mbappe picked the wrong team today, officially, idiot.
I think a lot of people would argue he picked definitely the correct team.
No, he should have come here.
Randy, they just won their 16th Champions League.
I don't care. We have a free zoo.
All right, fair. They have the word Real in their name.
I just like how you have this obsession with Mbappe.
I love saying his name.
I think that's what it is.
Yep.
It comes down to that.
How about a college football bowl game, which would be in late December at Busch Stadium?
Yes.
I'm in.
I'm in a box.
You don't want to experience the elements?
No, I've experienced the elements enough in my lifetime.
Yeah, we went to a lot of Cardinal games. It was freezing.
Yeah.
It was freezing.
No, we don't need another bowl game, and we don't need one at Busch Stadium.
You don't want one?
You're going to wind up with two bad,
like the Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah, Pinstripe Bowl at least is in New York. You're coming to St. Louis, and you're going to have 2 6-6 teams from the Big 12 against the ACC. It's going to be.
I'd still go.
Ugly. It's going to be NC State and Texas Tech.
How many people you think know Battlehawks players?
60,000.
You think they know the players?
Oh, yeah. The listeners to this show, which, I mean, millions, therefore.
Yeah, therefore. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously.
Okay, how about a Celtics exhibition game at Enterprise Center?
Yes.
I'm in.
Jason Tatum will definitely play.
J-Tay.
Yep, so I got to watch him play.
Yep.
I'd go to that.
Me too. And then the SLU-Mizzou basketball series being renewed.
That's the one I love. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that it doesn't happen every year.
Right.
I wish the teams played all in state. Like I wish Missouri State would play Mizzou and SLU and do like a round robin with those teams. Throw in Southern Illinois in that too.
You've got SLU here. You've got 80,000 Mizzou grads in St. Louis. So you have enough people to go to a game. They've done it at the Dome before, which was fun. I think that'd be great. And now you have coaches that are buddies. Not that the previous coaches haven't been buddies, but I think that it's a possibility now. And by the way, I think Laird Veatch is kind of more open, at least early on, to the idea of this series than previous Mizzou athletic directors have been.
I think that it's a great thing to have that here in St. Louis. I think that you have a lot of players who are playing, so there's a lot of intrigue there. So, like I said, I don't think there's anything that I'm saying no to in this.
Laird Veatch was part of the quote-unquote front office of Mizzou back when they did that, and it was a home and home. Yep. Not really home and home. I mean, there was the Dome, and then they played at Old Hearn Center. The atmosphere was incredible. So I think he'd be open to doing that.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you with the fan base that you have here, the alumni base?
Right.
It makes sense.
Well, and now it's all about money and eyeballs. And I don't think Mizzou used to be in a situation, and I think it was legit, where they thought, well, we're in a no-win situation against St. Louis University because we're supposed to win, and if we don't, then it looks bad. I don't think they're in that. You just went winless in the SEC.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in that situation anymore.
You get a huge crowd, too.
Yeah. Matthew, as a Mizzou
I've
fan,
always agreed because I've understood like the facts that this is why Mizzou's avoided it. That doesn't mean it's ever been a good enough reason in my mind and not been something that's always bothered me. Do the series. It'll be insanely popular. It'll be great for recruiting. Every time we talk to Josh Schertz and when we talk to Laird Veatch, they both just like hammered home the importance of St. Louis to just like being part of that. And obviously that's a little bit more, obviously you're not surprised by a St. Louis coach saying that, but Mizzou coach saying that kind of drives home how important it would be and how they're leaving it on the table.
And I don't want to hear any more coaches talk about how winning and losing affects recruiting anymore. There's only one thing that affects recruiting now.
Money.
Money is the big thing.
How about getting a round robin, or I shouldn't say round robin, but a double header of Southern Illinois, Missouri State, SLU, Mizzou. And one year you play one, next year you play the other. Do a doubleheader at Enterprise Center. Certain allotment of tickets for each school.
I like that.
Get a title sponsor for a day of hoops, of area hoops.
I know the Sports Commission is listening. There's a project for you.
I'm assuming they've tried, probably.
Gang, let's do it.
I do want to say the text line and the YouTube chat, very polarized on the idea of a Battlehawks championship parade. So much like the studio, like there are a lot of people who were like, no, immediately everyone's getting out there. If you see the numbers that have been tailgating, take the people that have been tailgating. Those people will be at the parade, and then add the people who would just normally go to a championship parade just because. And there's a lot of people who are saying the idea that we would actually, as a city, get together for a UFL championship parade shows how lame we are.
No,
well, there is no requirement to go.
celebrate.
That's one of the great things about America.
True.
Is that nobody's going to force you to go to a parade and watch tanks rolling down the street. It just doesn't happen in America.
That was quite the reference there.
I think you can bring any sporting event to St. Louis and people are going to support it.
Somebody says WrestleMania. That's obviously, I always get it wrong which wrestling event St. Louis does get. I always forget which one. Like, they get two of the big four, but I always forget which ones they are. But yeah, I know a lot of wrestling fans always talk about how much they want WrestleMania to come through.
I think that's the point here, Dan, is that you could bring anything here to St. Louis and it's going to be supported. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. Cricket, I think, is starting to come into the U.S. a little bit more. Isn't there like a big event? If cricket came here to St. Louis, they're showcasing across the U.S.
Cricket parade.
How many people? Well, no, I'm not talking about the parade rating, but what do you think about the support for maybe even a sport that isn't even that popular here in the U.S.?
We'll show up. Sports, competition. Yeah, we'll show up.
We don't have mountains. We don't have beaches. We don't have the ocean. So we do have sports. And people supported. That's just the way it works here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to get over 45,000 for the Battlehawks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It gets supported.
By the way, this morning on the Michelle Smallman show, otherwise known as Unsportsmanlike. But after we came on the air, they were still on. They had Moose Johnston from the UFL on, and he was effusive about the fan support here in St. Louis of the UFL.
Yeah, I mean, everybody sees it. I think that the fan support is 100% there. I'm just curious to see what the future of the UFL is, because outside of what you're saying here in St. Louis, there's so many people.
2 weeks, Brooke.
Yeah.
You think it's done? Randy, you think it's done after this year?
I don't have a great feeling.
I go back to TV ratings. If the TV ratings are good, then it stays.
The TV ratings locally have been good. I don't know how they've been nationally.
I don't know either.
But you also have to give a league a chance to marinate a little bit and get better and get bigger.
The national numbers have been, they've been fine, is how I would describe them. Gross, like if you just look at them, you're like, wow, they're getting bigger numbers than a lot of television shows right now and stuff like that. Those are obviously good numbers. But then if you actually go back and look at like the total numbers that multiple spring football leagues were getting 2 years ago, it is down from then, and that's a little bit problematic because you were hoping like bringing them together and having a more cohesive effort would actually expand on that and bring you more fans than having different leagues, and so far that hasn't really happened.
Yeah, probably hard to make any league work in 1 year.
Yeah,
I would agree. Yeah,
we'll
it's going to be very tough.
Yeah. We'll have a parade on the way out, and we'll have a float just for you, Dan. It'll be the Yoho float.
That's fine. I mean, if they have a parade, I'll that's awesome.
I will say the one thing in the UFL's favor is this is now the fourth year out of the last five that there have been, or third year of the last four, I should say, that there has been spring football. And while the numbers have never been like completely overtaken, there's clearly an appetite, I think, for football in the spring, and that's the formula.
I agree.
4 out of 5. You're right. So there's clearly something there. I guess it's just figuring out what is the actual level, what's the price point, so on and so forth.
What could you put in? Here's a question: what could you put in that time frame on television that's going to outdraw a UFL game? You know, if you had something else that you could put on the air, then you'd put that on the air instead of putting on the UFL.
Can't do that on Fox, though. So Fox, Sunday night, Battlehawks, Brahmas, XFL championship, baby.
Woo. Conference championship.
Yeah, the XFL conference.
Yeah.
Sunday.
At 6.
Sunday at 6.
Yeah.
On the 2 Fox.
Yes.
We tuned in. Can't wait.
You'll be down there, won't you? You'll probably go.
Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah, you love your grid.
Yep. Brooke, are you going to delay your honeymoon?
Why would you ask me that?
Why
would you ask me that?
I'm just wondering. It's the Battlehawks, for
I
God's
was
sake.
waiting for you to say something about it. I was hoping that this could somehow be avoided, but no. Yes, I will be there in spirit.
Okay, good.
Yes.
We have a little bit of breaking
Battlehawk
news.
is Brooke's spirit animal.
A little bit of breaking news, by the way. For the second time this year, a league has suspended a player for life because of gambling. As Major League Baseball has permanently banned Tucupita Marcano after determining the infielder placed hundreds of bets on baseball, including wagers on games involving the Pirates when he was on the team last season.
They had a bad day.
You don't have that in your music machine over there?
No, I'll have it tomorrow.
You bet on your own sport. You can bet. Just go and bet.
He bet on his own team.
That's what I mean.
Oakland Athletics pitcher Michael Kelly has also been declared ineligible for 1 year for betting on baseball while he was in the minor leagues. Additionally, minor leaguers Jay Groom of the San Diego Padres and Jose Rodriguez of the Philadelphia Phillies were banned for 1 year for betting on major league games.
Who's the guy that's throwing the knuckleball, and he's a former infielder, and he's in trouble too?
Is he?
Yeah, they're investigating him too. They are. So that's another one that may come to light as well.
My question is why? Why? Why would you do that, especially on your own sport? And I know that there's going to be a lot of comments coming in about, well, what about Shohei Ohtani? So from what I understand, what they investigated, there was nothing involved with Shohei Ohtani's translator.
The FBI went deep into the investigation into Ohtani, too.
David Fletcher is the name that escaped my memory on betting and knuckleballs. Yeah.
That was his username on the app.
Oh, okay. D-Fletch. Yeah. So does Tucupita Marcano, does he file an appeal, you think? I wouldn't bet on it.
Oh, Randy. Oh, okay. No.
I thought you had like a play on his name that I couldn't figure out yet, but I knew there was something.
Coming up next year on 101 ESPN, Jeff Passan says the Cardinals will be a hinge team in terms of the trade deadline. So how far out do they have to be in 2 months to sell at the deadline? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Chesterfield Fence and Deck here in St. Louis has been locally owned and operated for 56 years under the same ownership. Since 1968, they have been doing fantastic work in St. Louis. And when you have that sign on your fence or your deck or your sunroom or your screen room that says Chesterfield Fence and Deck, that's the sign. You have the very best. They use their own professionally trained installation crews and trucks and tools, and they'll have you out to their showroom in Chesterfield Valley, and you can see the things they do. But you can also find out at chesterfieldfence.com what they do and see the work that they do. And set up an appointment, have them come out to your house for a free, no-obligation project design. And the work that Chesterfield Fence and Deck does is amazing. Give them a call to have them out, 800-300-4054, 800-300-4054, and get in touch with this great A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau company. You'll love working with them. I got my friends from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. You'll love yours as well. Again, the number 800-300-4054 on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign. You have the very best. Hey, if you want to connect with your clients on a social media platform and do it in the best way, you should get in touch with 2060 Digital. It's a Hubbard company right here in our building, and they're different than the radio stations. At 2060 Digital, they'll help you make meaningful connections with your audience. And so when you are wanting somebody to reach your business, they have an algorithm that'll allow you to be number 1 or 2 when somebody searches on Google. They have the greatest knowledge of the internet possible, so they know when to place social media messages so that you can hit the key amount of people, the most amount that you can possibly hit. And of course, they'll build a website for you that is outstanding. They do great work here, and they have a great analytics crew that will tell you exactly the sort of value you're getting when you invest with 2060 Digital. Enhance your brand's online presence, optimize digital campaigns, increase customer engagement with 2060 Digital. Learn more at 101ESPN.com/2060 Digital.
This is Rocc here with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals lose game 1. They'll try to bounce back today. 7:10 first pitch will be Andre Palante facing off against Spencer Arrighetti for the Astros. Arrighetti on the season is 3-5 with a 5.98 ERA. Still waiting for the NHL and NBA Finals to start, but you can catch them right here on 101 ESPN. Game 1 of your NBA Finals, Celtics and Mavericks, right here on 101 ESPN coming up in 2 days. Pregame will start at 6:30 for that Thursday matchup, and then on Friday, Panthers and Oilers, game 1 as well. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
We told you about the lifetime ban for Tucupita Marcano, infielder for the Padres, for gambling. And 4 other players have been suspended by Major League Baseball as well. And apparently Marcano was not the best gambler.
He was not. I was telling you guys during the break, because they have also now revealed how poorly he gambled. So he gambled more than $150K on baseball and won just 4.3% of his Major League Baseball bets. Is that also one of the most embarrassing parts of when these betting scandals get revealed, is how bad you were in the process?
The translator wasn't that good.
He even said that.
Yeah, he said, I'm not very good at this, am I? LOL. But,
I guess that's why the house always wins, and it's still prevalent in our society.
Yeah. Betting data shows that from October 16th, 2022 through October 23rd, 2022, and then from July 12th of 2023 through November 1st of 2023, Marcano placed 387 baseball bets, including 231 MLB-related bets, among other bets, on international baseball games through a legal sportsbook. Marcano's MLB bets were generally parlays, which would sometimes include multiple MLB-related legs, and they would sometimes include MLB-related legs and non-MLB legs. So Major League Baseball knows what they're talking about when they're talking about gambling. They just don't want their players to do it.
How do you get caught? I wonder about that.
Yeah, you can't be using FanDuel or DraftKings.
Got to use a third party like a translator.
Exactly, right. And a guy that
like
hopefully is not being investigated by the FBI.
That would help.
Yeah.
It's amazing, though. Yeah, everything's online. I would assume it'd be easy to track in that regard. You made a great point, Randy, earlier, which you said, before cell phones, you had no idea. And, unless it was egregious, which some of these have been in the past, like a Pete Rose or Shoeless Joe Jackson. But before a cell phone, it could just go through a bookie, and that would be your way to do it. And everybody stayed quiet. No one would know. There'd be no trail.
Right. And now this was found out by the legal sports gambling platform that Marcano used. They informed MLB, and MLB went to work on their investigation and found out that Marcano, along with Michael Kelly of the A's, he's a pitcher, minor league players Jay Groom of the Padres, Jose Rodriguez of the Phillies, and Andrew Salfrank of Arizona, all have been suspended for violations of MLB's sports betting rules and policies. Salfrank, I thought, was a prospect at one point. I don't know if he still is. Let me check. But I think he pitched in the postseason for Arizona last year.
I believe he did. And unfortunately for sports, I think this can become commonplace because of how prevalent and how easy it is. We saw with the situation with Porter in the NBA. We're now getting stuff that's happening with Major League Baseball. There's been stuff that's happened with the NHL. It's just prevalent now, and we better get used to some of these reports just popping up here or there because it seems like it's going to happen more times than not.
My biggest question is just why? Because, of course, like I understand that, gambling is a lot more prevalent right now, and we talk about it all the time. It's becoming a part of sports in a lot of different ways, but you know the rules as a player. I'm sure they go over that with them many, many different times that you can't bet on baseball. You can't bet on your own team in that way. And with Marcano, I would be interested to know how they found out too. It might just be he was doing it on his cell phone. He could use a different username, but it also said that he was doing it while he was on the injured list. So I just don't get why you would do it, why you would risk it, unless that they think that, or they hear stories of somebody else is doing it and they haven't been caught. I don't know.
I would think that that's the thing. They don't realize how easily they can be caught now. Now I would think players will know after what has happened here, and then you see the NFL suspensions with St. Louis and Jamison Williams and some of the other, Calvin Ridley. They've been found out by the legal sports betting entities who are telling the leagues these leagues are in bed with the sports betting entities, so they're going to know everything that's going on with these players on their phones, unless you have a burner phone.
It's easy. And legalized gambling is everywhere now for the most part. I think there's 17 states that don't have it. Yeah, it's going to be prevalent.
Andrew Salfrank, who has pitched in 11 postseason games with a 3.18 ERA with the Diamondbacks, okay, he gets suspended for a year. This guy got suspended for a year from baseball, and he was up last year, making a minimum of almost $800,000. He bet $445.87 on baseball. $444.07 of that were on MLB-related bets. And he gave up a year of baseball, of being paid to play baseball, to make $445.87 on baseball bets.
That's so ridiculous.
So why would he not be suspended forever?
Because he didn't bet specifically on his team? Is that what they're saying?
Okay. Yes. So if you bet an affiliation of your team, then you're done. Okay. That makes sense.
Right. And he did not appear in any of the games on which he bet, and he didn't make any bets involving his team. No evidence to suggest, and Salfrank denies, that any outcomes in the baseball games on which he placed bets were compromised, influenced, or manipulated in any way. This is pretty wild.
And it's not going to slow down.
Nope.
It is
Randy,
not.
you did have a question earlier about, what was it? How did you frame it? Which Missouri athlete would be the next caught?
Which athlete in the state of Missouri would be the one that would get caught?
And then we kind of realized that the list is already pretty long with athletes that it's already happened.
Is Rashee Rice not the easiest mark?
He keeps getting into some trouble there.
He seems like
But we've also dealt with
soul.
a Porter, yes.
Oh, yeah, we had
had a Porter.
Jonte. I don't know if he still counts as Missouri anymore.
Yeah.
He's been around, So, but we'll think. You can text in and tell us who the first Missouri athlete in the state of Missouri, once we have legalized gambling, who's the first guy that's going to get it?
The first one who's going to get popped.
Yep. Next up, rock and roll on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're looking for a great lunch today, maybe head on over to the patio at the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton and have their delicious trash wings. The greatest wings that you'll ever have are at the Fenton Bar and Grill. But you don't only have to have the trash wings. They have great appetizers. They have delicious salads. They have a fantastic Southwest salad with cheddar and flame-roasted corn with black beans, red and green peppers, and diced tomatoes and red onions. It is absolutely spectacular, the Southwest salad at Fenton Bar and Grill. And you're going to love the people there. The servers are absolutely wonderful. They put together a great staff. They're going to treat you well. And then when you walk through the door, you're going to notice that, hey, everybody's watching and talking sports. It's a great sports place with great food and great people. It doesn't get any better than the Fenton Bar and Grill at 701 Rudder Road in Fenton. It's 2 minutes away from the soccer park. And if you're looking for a great lunch or dinner or a great happy hour with 6 great happy hours at $6 a piece, head to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com, and when you go, tell them Randy sent you.
I want to rock. And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
And we've got a Bud Bash ticket giveaway. I'm going to read this for the first time. 101 ESPN is your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to next Tuesday night's Budweiser Bash game, Cards and Pirates. Are you going to be there? Bet on it. Next week's Bud Bash game features a limited edition Jason Isringhausen bobblehead. Brooke, you're kind of laughing.
I am, because you just want to keep making bad jokes.
I do. Text in now, but you can get all the details on this season's series of Budweiser Bash Cardinals games at cardinals.com/promotions. Cardinals.com/promotions. But you can text in now to win Budweiser Bash tickets for Cardinals versus Pirates on June 11th at Busch Stadium. How cool is that? Matthew, do you have a question yet, or do you want me to come up with a question?
Oh, I got a question about
fire away.
It's about the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Okay.
That wonderful organization.
Oh, they're great.
When was the last time they won the division? Not the last time they made the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
What was the last year the Pittsburgh Pirates won the Central Division?
Okay, that's a good one.
1992.
Why are we giving the answer to the people who are trying to win Bud Bash tickets?
I messed up again.
I feel like Dan likes doing this, though, because it's kind of like trivia, and you want to participate. I have to hold myself back sometimes, too. So now we'll think of a more creative
So
way.
I wasn't supposed to give the answer.
All right. Jason
I like that you
Isringhausen
did.
became pretty famous.
I got one for you. I got one for you. Okay? Here we go. Jason Isringhausen pitched 16 years in baseball. Don't give this away.
Okay.
He pitched for 5 different franchises. What is the only franchise that he had 2 stints with? Name the franchise, the only franchise.
I got that answer too, but I'm not going to say it.
You just did on camera. But that's okay.
If somebody's watching on YouTube. Now,
Let's do texter number 22.
Okay.
So you text her. Well, yeah, I guess they could text in if they're watching.
314-399-9646. 314-399. Yo! Texter number 22.
You got mad at me there, Randy.
No,
I'm sorry.
not at all. I'm glad that you
Sometimes
knew
I just blurt it out, and
that happens. It's great.
Okay, sorry.
So, what do we got?
Sorry, Matthew.
Part of the concept escaped your bounds there.
Yeah.
I don't even think because I'm not paying attention. And then I hear the question, and then I.
And then you just want to join in.
I just blurted out. I'm sorry.
I thought it was funny. Okay, so our guy is Jason Isringhausen is one of my all-time favorite players.
Me too. Me too. What a career, too.
Yeah, I
He's so
actually, I
nice.
think I might buy a ticket to get that limited edition Izzy bobblehead and go get his autograph next week.
He was part of that trio, Pulsifer, Izzy,
Paul Wilson, yep.
And they were supposed to be the next coming of the great rich pitching of the Mets. Didn't quite work out, but
They were
Izzy
the
had a
Young
hell of a
Guns,
career.
right? Isn't that what they were called, the Young Guns?
Yep.
Pretty cool. All right, Matthew, what do you got? Oh, are we done?
Yeah, we're pretty much done.
Pretty much done.
He said, "What do you
looked at the clock.
do? You have any final words? How about that?"
City signed another player yesterday. If you guys didn't see that,
No.
He signed with. I think did they actually announce he's going to Real Madrid yesterday?
It's official.
I completely missed that. No, they signed a center back / center midi, Jake Gerwood-Reich, who is
guy from the
playing
Navy, huh?
Who's playing in?
That's cool. Good.
Who's playing in Australia?
Randy, let him finish his
because he's an Australian, and he will also join the team eligible on July 18th when the summer transfer window opens.
Do they call Australian naval people middies also?
Oh, I didn't get. I thought honestly, I didn't get the Navy joke at all.
At first I thought you were doing something with the name.
I thought that. I was like, I'm glad you didn't go the way I was worried you were going to go with the last name. But I thought I'd missed where you were going with that one. Yeah, no, but City signed a new player. And
it's not Mbappe though.
It's not Mbappe, and so Randy doesn't really care about him.
No, I do.
Sorry,
I care about him.
Poor Aussies just get no respect on this show apparently because they're not big name Frenchmen.
What's his name again?
Jake Gerwood-Schmidt. Yeah,
Jake Gerwood.
Gerwood-Reich.
Oh,
Jake Gerwood-Reich.
Gerwood-Reich. Okay. All right. Thank you, Matthew.
Did you give the answer to the question,
Randy?
Do we have a winner?
We have picked
So
up.
Dan can reveal this. Oh, I was going to say I wanted Dan to reveal it again.
Mets.
Yeah.
That was it. So great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocc. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Really good question, by the way.
I did okay.
You did a fantastic job on the question for the.
God bless it. That was. God, I've never been. It happened so fast.
Sorry.
I couldn't even respond to it. It just happened.
It's on me.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad. Good.
Bet on it.
More fun today or yesterday?
Every day. I don't know where you're going with anything, Randy. Every day was a great day.
You want to put some odds down on you?
I'm sorry. That's on me.
It's awesome radio. It's great. I love
amazing,
it.
honestly.
Hope you enjoyed it. So the Mets twice, and then the last time the Pirates won the
I messed
division
that up every
was
time.
92,
Honestly,
90, 91,
my
92.
two favorite things has to be did that when Danny did that, and last week when Danny was like, okay, on this 10 p.m. guy, we couldn't get past that guy on Wednesday. Those are my two favorite Danny Mac moments.
All right. Hey, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a fantastic Taco Tuesday, St. Louis.